can do before no, I can be my weekend and a mania to the other. Yapan out by the other. Yapan out by the I love you, the Valvania, I love you, the Valvin. We get a party, the Valvania, I love you, the Valvin. When you're there, when no one like, we might get out the job while I'm in your man when one and yeah.
Sorry for commercial. Ahlan bek, ahlan bek. Welcome. Please go ahead and share. Ahlan bekum. Good evening in North America. Good morning in South Sudan, in Australia, and other part of the world. This is Concerned Citizen of South Sudan going live. This is an extraordinary live broadcast tonight. As you can see below the screen, the topic of the matter that we are discussing today, and it's so important. South Sudan's so-called ministers of humanitarian affairs and disaster management, Peter Mayen Majongdit, he commits domestic violence and also keeping his wife, Aluel Messi, Aluel Garang, the football player, soccer player, we call that in the United States here, in his house. And so we are concerned. And if we are concerned, we should not be concerned only to the matter of politics. We are concerned of anything that to do with the society, with the community, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's the way of living. In this case, actually, is very important. I know that we have a full consensus of the family, but regardless of having consensus of the family or not, this has become a matter of the national. And it is a matter of human rights as well. Because when you married, it's based on love. I know in some cultures it's not based on love, based on respect. But if one or two, chose not to like one another, chose not to be friendly anymore, they don't want to live anymore, and then there is no way you can force someone, there is no way you can harm someone. These are rejected and condemned, and we will not tolerate such a thing as the people that concerned with the matter. So tonight I will have on this live broadcast a very bright young ladies. I know we will have Nanoya Gul from the nation capital Juba, supposed to be joining us here momentarily, but I know the network sometimes doesn't cooperate in the nation capital Juba. And as well, we will have Apung Jel Moror from Sydney, Australia, as well as Wilma Achol Madud Ring in Brisbane, Australia as well. And in the program as well, we are going to have Amel Garang, Mel Abun Maruf. So please, I'm asking you, as usual, to go ahead and share this live broadcast. As usual, I want to give you a warning. We agree to disagree. We will not accept any vicious attack, derogatory language in this live broadcast. If you may not feel comfortable with what we are saying here tonight, you can exit peacefully without any causing any issues here. But your opinion is respected, as I said. So please go ahead and share this live broadcast as we continue. To continue with this case, as I said from the beginning, it's a matter of concern, and we are all concerned about things that are happening in the country. And this case, actually, particularly, is very, very different in the nature. So most of you are aware that Aluel Garang, the wife of Peter Mayen Majongdit, the so-called Minister of Humanitarian and Disaster Management, I don't know what he's managing, what kind of disaster he's managing. It became disaster himself, as you can see. So 2 months ago, actually, his wife, as I told you from the beginning, she's a football player. She was playing soccer, football, in Madingawul town. And then this minister went ahead and caused some sort of a violence on that game, removing his wife from that game, disrespecting the fans and the norms. So his wife left with him on that occasion. And of course, they flew to Juba, and then from Juba, they took her to Kwajuk, where he is from. And since then, we haven't heard anything, regarding these issues. But unfortunately, the woman, Aluel Messi, she has been in confinement, but she has been assaulted by her own husband for quite some times. And we have a photo that show, the assault and beating and wounds in her hands. As I said from the beginning, these are not accepted. And yesterday, as we speak, we got actually information that Peter Mayen Majongdit traveled from Juba to Kwajok and attempted actually to kill his wife. Fortunately, there was a guard, his own bodyguard, intervened. And when the bodyguard intervened, he actually assaulted his own bodyguard to extend that he pushed him to the well. So the bodyguard right now, as I speak to you, he was wounded and his arm is broken. So my beloved fellow concerned citizens of South Sudan who are watching here tonight, these behaviors are not acceptable and should not be encouraged. No matter what, regardless what type and what amount of dowry Peter Mayen Majongdit has paid. And plus, he's holding a high-rank position in the country. If you are a minister of humanitarian and disaster management, I don't know what in the world someone holding that position will be beating up his wife, will be committing such a thing in the public. And not too long ago also, we know and we have show you the video that Mayen Majongdit actually he borrowed cars from a dealer in Juba. Unfortunately, he failed to pay it back, the loan that he, is supposed to pay it. And when the dealership owner went to him and tried to collect the fund from him, it was more violence. And most of you have seen this video, went viral. And he was using the words, kick their asses in Dinka, Qatar. And most of you have seen that video. So I wonder sometimes why such an individual would be allowed, in those positions of leadership, if you cannot lead yourself to extend that you become more violence and violence and violence and violence every time. Why these things are happening? And what authority are waiting for such a thing to happen for this young woman? Myself, as a concerned citizen of South Sudan, I went through divorce, but it doesn't give me, or it doesn't give anyone, if someone doesn't want to live you with anymore, to beat them up or to become more violence, right? So these are not accepted. As I said, I'm going to have a bright ladies in the show tonight, and anyone after I have my guesses, they will be followed, because these issues of domestic violence in our communities back home and whatever South Sudanese are is not the matter of women only. It is a matter of concern at every South Sudanese, whatever you be. So let me go ahead. I can see that I have Mrs. Apugiel Morol on the studio. I'll bring her, and then I will wait for the rest of the guests to tune in, and we can move with this very important discussion. So let me go ahead and move her here, and then she will be here on the screen with me. Pug, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. As I said, this is so crucial, and this is very important. I wish, Aguil or Nanoya Tong should have been here first so we can get an update on the situation of Aluel Messi and her family. But unfortunately, it looks like she's having difficulties with the network in Juba. But having said that, I'm going to go ahead and move with you, and the rest, I believe they will follow later. I'm waiting for Achol Maduring as well, and Emil getting to join the program. Apuk, welcome one more time. I wanted to get your perspective in this regard. This is a matter of concern of everyone, not only women. So please, go ahead.
Hello, Jankro. How are you? Thank you for inviting me today into your forum. As usual, you are doing an amazing job as a concerned citizen of South Sudan. And sometimes it's very important to have a platform where people can express their opinions or to talk about certain things that are very important to us as a community, for community development, or as a country in general. Now, before I go in depth into what happened, I'm just going to clarify myself here. Domestic violence happens everywhere in the world. It's not only in South Sudan. Even in Australia, where I live, we have a high number of domestic violence. However, there's law in place. There are programs that have been set in place to protect people that are experiencing violence. Usually, people think that domestic violence only happens towards women. It doesn't. It can happen to you. It can happen to me. It can happen to any gender. That's why it's called gender-based violence. However, the numbers are usually high in women because women tend to come across a bit vulnerable. So when we talk about these issues, I just need us as a community to be open-minded. I understand that it's very sensitive. I understand that people will not be happy with the views that we will share here today. Usually what happens, people start to become very defensive. When it comes to domestic violence, people use excuses such as, oh, this is a family issue. Why are you intervening? Let the family deal with it. However, no, this is not a family issue. It's a big problem. Unfortunately, it happened that it's a minister that is involved, you see, and that's the reason why everyone is concerned. Because if we have individuals within in the position of power that are inflicting harm, it becomes a matter of concern, because these are the individuals that are representing us. They're the face of our country. to the international community and also just generally. Okay, so we're not focusing on this issue simply because Peter Mayen is from a certain area. I don't want people to use geography. I don't want this to be narrowed down to be a Madinga Wul versus Warab or Madinga Wul versus Gogreal. It has nothing to do with that.
Yes.
This is not it's not an individual thing as people want to place it. It's a concerning issue. Domestic violence happen in so many forms, and as a community we really need to educate ourselves so that we can find a way we can deal with these issues. It's going to be ongoing. It's not only just this incident, it has been happening, and we have been speaking about domestic violence on social media for a very long time. So I don't want people to feel like, oh, we're targeting Peter Mayen. No, we're not targeting him. We're targeting the behavior and what led to that incident. I do not know who Aluel is. I personally do not know who Peter Mayen is. He came to my attention a few months ago because of an incident that happened during a soccer game.
Yes.
I didn't even know who he was. And then again, when I saw those very graphic photographs circulating on social media, I became concerned as an individual. As a human being, no one should have to go through that kind of pain and abuse.
Yes.
Even if it was Mayen that was going through that, I would have been concerned as well, and I would have addressed it. Like I said before, domestic violence can happen towards anyone. So let me just put that out there, because when it comes to domestic violence, us as Sudanese, and I'm going to narrow it down to Dinka, because sometimes it's better to speak about your close community rather than just dwelling and being too general. We're very confused because in South Sudan, even in Australia here, when these incidences happen within families, it's very hard for the victim to get help. The reason why it becomes very difficult is because of the community intervention, because of family intervention, and people around as well trying to use marriage as an excuse that it's between family or it's between individuals. No, it's not. Okay, it's not. And it has to be addressed. So what am I getting at here? What I'm trying to say is, because I've been seeing a lot of messages on social media, about making excuses, like, oh, or even a lot of men from my community saying things like, oh, she's married to him, he paid dowries, so he can do whatever he wants. I've even heard men say things like, oh, I've married her, I've paid cows, I've paid dowry, so even if I kill her, even if I cause harm, she's mine. Excuse me? You do not own a human being. You don't. And you don't have any right, and no one has any right to inflict any sort of harm onto anyone. And to me, I feel like violence is a very primitive way of dealing with things. We should all be civilized as a society. We should know how to deal with things differently. So to me, the reason why I'm even here today to speak is because Peter Mayen is a Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management at a national level. Okay, and if he is causing harm to that level, to me it's like, whoa, is this even normal? Is it something that should be allowed, or is it something that needs to be addressed at an individual level? Like I said before, it's not because Aluel is from Madinga, it's not because Peter is from Gogrial. We're talking about domestic violence and the dangers of domestic violence, and the sort of the implication as well. He's a representative at a national level, and if someone in position of power uses control, it becomes concerning. Now, I don't know the story. I don't know what folded behind the closed doors. We never know. In any relationship, we don't know whatever happens behind closed doors. No one will surely ever know. There's always one side of the story, there's another side of the story. But we're not here to judge what has happened behind the closed doors. What we are addressing is what came out. And the graphic photographs that have been circulating on social media, that is what we're condemning, and that is what is being addressed. And generally just speaking and making awareness about domestic violence and the dangers that it has and the impact that it has on us as a society and as a community. So if anyone is going to come here and try to say, oh, why are you guys here intervening in family issue? Why are you doing this? No. And anyone that would even say that, please think about it. Imagine if that was your sister that was in that position, or even you. There's some women, John Cor, that are very strong, that can cause harm to men as well.
We do. We have a guy here. We have a woman here kill her husband.
Yeah, it happens. Women are capable of killing men as well, and men are capable of killing women. But that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is, can we as a society please not condone and support domestic violence? And let's not try to use excuses to support that behavior, because it's wrong. Absolutely wrong. And anyone that supports that kind of behavior, it's concerning. It says a lot about you as an individual. Like, where's your empathy as a human being? Don't you feel sorry for what has happened? And if that was your sister, you would be really annoyed. And we need to really talk about, some of the programs that can be set in place to help women, a safe space for them, services, not only just women, even men as well, anyone that is experiencing gender-based violence. It's very important. So I'll give you a chance, John Cor, to also welcome
Sister Rachel Madud Ring, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. It's good to see you, and thank you, for answering our invitation to come. As I said, this is very important. And actually, I wanted to tell you guys here on the studio tonight, if you wanted to mix it with Dinka sometimes, we don't have any problem, because I want people to understand. I want people to know why we are sitting here today. It's just not to talk for sake of talking. This is a very pressing issue, as I said from the beginning. Apu, going back, Peter Mayen Majongdit is a minister of humanitarian and disaster management. I am not a psychiatrist, but I can see from the behaviors of this gentleman since day one that actually he has some issues. And I can see there's he might have a mental issues. I'm not trying to say no, because he has mentally committed this atrocity that he has been going through with his wife. But as a society, as you said, we should not condone such a thing. How Peter Mayen Majongdit got away with all these things. The incident that I mentioned from the beginning, that he borrowed cars, and he threatened the owner of the dealer when they came to his house, to collect the money that he borrowed. And he became more violent. And I repeated the word that I said, hey, kick their asses, whatever, He said that. And again, he went, in a soccer game that full of people, fans watching. And he did what he did, with his wife. And I know that I get full information that Aluel actually, before Mayen Majongdit met her, she was a soccer player. He knows she was a soccer player, but I don't understand if you met someone and someone has a career path ahead of them, ahead of him, ahead of her, and all of a sudden you marry that person, and then later you become more problematic. What is the role of society here? What they can say? Because at the end of the day, Aluel fall in love with the guy and they got married. And I have seen a lot of people, they keep saying that, oh, well, she's the one that married the guy. So does that mean that if a girl fall in love and then it didn't work later, should we just blame everything on her, that she's her fault? Or the same thing, to the guy as well? Or should we address the problem? Because today, those who are saying that, no, this is the matter of the family, you don't worry about it, he paid dowry and all this thing. Tomorrow, this thing can happen to your sister. It can happen to your daughter. What would be your position in that? What would be your position? This is very, very, very important. And the change that we are saying always, change is not only in politics. I know there is no perfect society. We don't have any perfect society. But if people in the society, if they ignored things that they should not ignore, and then that society is going to go down, to garbage bin, I should say. So I want you to help these people, before we move on here, before I give a chance to Achol Maduring. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. John Cor, I don't want to agree that us as South Sudanese, as a society, we are a violent people. I don't want to believe that, because that's the excuse that a lot of people like to say, like, oh, we come from a war-torn country, and so everyone is traumatized, and that's the reason why everyone is so aggressive. If that's the case, and then why don't we have facilities that can help people that are experiencing this trauma so that they can be supported better? I don't want to agree that we're a violent society. Violence should never be a resort for anything. Okay. Another thing too, just because someone fell in love with someone and things didn't work out in the relationship does not mean that they have to remain in the toxic relationship. It's a no. Because oko monjang we have this perception that na chinya na chitiag be wok ke yinu lagum. Damane chito ge damanter markwa kana our mothers they were very resilient. Okay, and that was their time. Our time has changed now. And as times change, and so does culture. Kukukina ya dai luel long monjang, but a man, aya luel monjang, culture monjang, a chirawara chibena monjang terwan. Lakina de koji luel de lonele culture jing a week blue preserved. Oko monjang, penyachiria, kuanchi peria kaja chilated, monjang mana chiwerping. So rani benkaga culture de could be medical culture de can I don't want to believe that jing culture right. But at the same time, there are practices within Jin culture that need to be amended or to be changed because society is changing and it's inevitable. I know change is uncomfortable. So Nale Ben Longanir. I've seen really beautiful photos on social media about her expressing how much she loves her husband. That's a beautiful thing. But does that excuse him? Does that really give him an excuse? Does that give anyone, even Yantin Kansare, does it just because of course not. That's what I'm trying to say. All society, we need to change this perception. Okay? Even back in the days, I'm sure, practice kind of monjang. When you want to take knock, okay, well, a family want to diar ko chieng. Aya ko kaka jaye well no family ka abin nyanda abi kuila ching, so no nyanda chi tiag tenere loy it happens. Unless na eminent society raja war won na chi ran chin den kong na cha den hok na cha den ka kwara ira na ben lo bia tiek, it's becoming an issue. Ran ben agam nyande e nya nyira chi agam just randomly because ngaga abin nyande la mo ko den nom kong perception kana I don't think a culture monja. Okay, so oko omonjang want their background rana ye can we chok properly before being yandu binagam a family yindi and yinin yandu yadeten e koji nyir chinkadi e koji chinkadi sata ke unuma ye can deri laki na chipe riagwan ku chika ila different places kudaka kokchuro war. Okay, kayene kiye issues chitkak maneke groloy. So to me ran one that uses violence, anyone that uses violence, to me, I feel they need anger management. They need facilities so that they can control their emotions. Woko did ke randi. Did you rantiak? Kache property do. We could be koi kak de na cha ok tapping. Karana che property. They have the rights to leave the marriage anytime if they feel they are not safe or if they feel like the love is not there anymore. Okay? Kalati de lain kulepir. To me, what he would have done in this situation. Tiene tin ka churut pin ke ganyan tin kan. Kapel kele Dubai pandin. Adek ne mon jang ka ke loiten. Na ye hokke ke wi bu ke duge ke yen. I'm pretty sure would nim ganun wana lel which abu ke lu amended sooner or later because achi are outdated. You know, adek ne o ka kwa loiten ko mon jang. Lakin achi lo baran jan nok to the point where brand work to waliu. Chinti chera ka loiten even satu na chogalon chene ting du. Where an pat ke normal human being you cannot do that. It's a no. They need to be addressed accordingly. When na luel kan achi wi ku beloy ke kana won ke kan beloy politicized biya kana wilma go real no. We're just talking generally that this is an incident that happened and it's something that should not be condoned and it should not be accepted. So ko society ko mon jang be zabachanange we are very traditional. Kawaja menewe getting amman can violence. To them, I consider a primitive way of dealing with things. Okay, there's certain ways that you can communicate. Kagaran, na chakarutping, go separate ways. Anya jaka rempiot, I know it hurts. Okay, but it's better for you. Kubakla separate ways, but it'll be right anyak, you know. Baran nok will be nok. But Jimin, can I tell Dior can take to be honest with you, they are very emotional. Take Allah bayan nok nala. Kule attack kakabulu even worse. A chin way or something like that. And that's the reason why in a lot of cases of domestic violence Roreka died knock is because of ongoing abuse. So the women become very terrified to the point where if it comes be tuang zatu waka walango kala bakad loy beloy, you know, we don't want it to happen. So this incident can actually ain't the only incident. There has been a lot of incidences that happen. I think on social media or why is it that na mayan ke bika bajam, but the other things to rely everything rely on social media. I'm quite sure gaya vocal about
why jam and dinganya one we talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. It was addressed. Everything that happens, address. Even individual women have been on social media to express, you know, some of the things that they're going through. So I get it. Like, we're a new country. We don't have proper services still in place. But we could consider Kokakaga very important so that it can stop. Okay, Bichilu continue. Kurana wunto in position of power. Kunae yen. Okay, in a real dejalu use, and then what sort of message are you sending to everyone else that is not in position of power? This is someone that is supposed to be representing us. This is someone that is supposed to be setting an example for us as a society. But again, even that bichiranto in position of power, don't use violence. Okay, it's not worth it. It's not good. I think I'll allow Sister Achol as well to add
I'm gonna give Achol a chance. Apuk, you tackle, you address very important point. In German, Moldova culture, you know, bad culture. Yes, we don't have a bad culture, but thing changes. You know, as we progress, thing changes. Right now, are you telling me that okay, we don't want to change things? Those who say that they don't want to change things, why are they building nice houses? Why are they not living in hut, or why are they not living in luck all the time? Why Wazir will not live in luck all the time? Why would they build nice house and live there? Why would they have a V8 car? Because the modernization thing change. Okay, can we change akhlaq batana bardu? We can do that, right? So the idea is that because I pay a lot, then I can own a woman. Woman is not a property. You know, this is the bad thing that we need to change. Yes, this is one of the bad things. As when we become Christian, there are some, you know, practices that we used to practice along with our culture. When we become Christian, we don't practice them anymore. We don't believe in Machadid anymore. You know, anymore. We don't do all this. Why? Because now you are entering to a new thing. I'm not saying that give up, you know, culture. We are not giving up culture. Culture in Amazon, we pay diary, we pay work and all this thing is okay. But something that between you and that person, and they are good, she's going to be a good wife and all this thing. If it's not longer there anymore, why would you want to kill somebody? Like I said, I give an example. I am married before, but I got divorced. Should I force somebody to be in marriage that they are not interested in or they are not feeling comfortable with? No. You know, where is the humanity here? You know, where is the humanity then? So this issue really need to be addressed. The matter legality probably came maldu. Sometimes I blame the family here. Because this woman, she was appealing, but people did not react with her. You know, sometimes, you know, we don't listen. She has been beating up numerous times, but when she talked to the family, they said, okay, you the one that, you know, fall in love with this guy, but we told you a long time ago, don't do this. But we cannot just, you know, drop somebody simply because she fall emotional, she fall in love in that particular time. This guy become more dangerous. I see that this guy has a mental issues. You can see from the way that he has been behaving last year and all this year. He has some issues. So, you address. You cannot own a human being. You cannot own a human being. Human is a human. Yes, because of you're happy. When we pay all this diary, you don't pay it because you bought it. You bought a person. You don't do that. You pay it because you respect. Okay, and it's a culture that we enjoy. We enjoy. That's why we do it. So if Peter Mayen Majongdit, if you think that he own Aluel Messi, that's wrong. That will send a bad signal to other women out there. By then, because of property that our people having, you mentioned it a little earlier, that because those of wazirs and ministers, they are the one that have money as director, and they are the one that will be giving a girls, but they should not take that as an opportunity to go, and they start abusing and using all this. When we diamond that community, don't reject somebody. The Chira man buy and he's a good guy, regardless, whatever he has. But this man is able, that's the person. But to go ahead, and at the end, it's going to end up like this. This is not acceptable. This thing must change. And if we don't talk about this, who is going to talk about them? And when these things are going to change, they are not going to change until people talk about it. So we don't mind those, we are not going to be mind of those saying, oh, what these people are talking about, they have their own issues. Like some people, they were writing something stupid, about me. You can say whatever you wanted to say, but the wrong is always wrong. And we cannot accept that. As I say, if we are concerned, this is a matter of concern. Aluel Messi, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. I want to give you an opportunity to weigh in, and then I will go back to Apuk as well. Go ahead, Aluel. Fadal.
All right. We got your more the and I'm just wondering, Jonkur, how can we read comments down there? Because I was just wondering, there was a time Chan StreamYard, join the StreamYard through Facebook, and I can read comments from viewers, because it would be nice to keep track of those. How do we do that?
So you want to be able to read the comment?
Yeah, it would be nice to read in case another antique question.
Well, you should see it on your phone. You should see it on your phone.
Mine is different. I cannot read.
What kind of phone? What kind of phone?
Can I just add something?
Yeah, go ahead. Aluel was dropped.
Even with me too, I'm experiencing the same thing. So what I did, I got a laptop on the side, and I can see people's comments.
And you silent it, right?
Yeah.
And you
so
silent
I think you need another device on the side, because Facebook doesn't allow you. Back in the days, it used to allow you to do that, but now it doesn't. Yeah.
No, actually, that is a different website. This website, you allow the Shambaka man Queen, like in a normal Facebook, the Cholin run, Kalebi, you allow the Shambaka man Queen, so you will not read any comment here.
Yeah, to me here, I see everybody comment. Maybe because I am the host.
No, for you can see. For you, Jonko, you can see, but for us, no, we can't. Yeah. Okay.
Well, no problem. If there is any question come up from viewers, and they wanted to ask that question, I will relay that question to you guys. Aluel Messi, it looks like she has difficulties with the network. With that, maybe Amela Boone, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. I want to give you a chance until Aluel is back, and then we'll give Aluel a chance as well. And I want to tell the viewers, this matter is not matter of women only, because I know that when I make a post and I put these young ladies on the page, people are start saying that, why only women? But you are all welcome. We will give an opportunity here for you to weigh in. I don't know what happened to Amel. Amel disappeared for some reason. But Apuk continue, because it looked like they have some difficulties with their network. Their network is not that strong enough, I think. Go ahead.
John-Claude, I just want to bring this to people's attention, because sometimes abuse is not just it's not just physical. The physical abuse in it, the most obvious one. And even within South Sudanese community, there are a lot of men that experience a lot of psychological and emotional abuse. But they are very difficult detected, you see. So we need to be very careful as a community to not just say that, it's only women that are abused. Men can also be abused. And there are a lot of men here that probably are watching that experience or have experienced some form of abuse. But it been long culture down in one young, because the way that we are brought up is that, you need to be strong.
Yes.
As a man, you have to be strong. You cannot cry. you know. But especially in our society, they do experience it. The only thing is physical abuse, but men can also be abused. So let's just keep that in mind. But this is what I find very frustrating in our community, because when we talk about these things, when we try to address some of the biggest challenges in society, even Australia, which is a first world country, is battling this domestic violence, and they have resources. They've put in so much resources. There's a lot of programs that are available that you can go to. Orco multicultural community, it's very difficult for us to access these services because of our cultural background, because families always like to intervene when there's an issue, you see. Hard. So that's the reason why victims usually don't get the support that they need until it's too late, until someone commits suicide, until someone kills someone. Let's not be that kind of society. Let's be open-minded. Let's be a supportive family. And to be honest, Jonkor, I'm so happy with South Sudanese men on social media. You guys have been standing with women. You've been standing against what is wrong. When it comes to domestic violence, a lot of you are against it. And it's good to see that. It gives me hope as an individual that we have a better society that we're heading towards. You see? So coming back to Aluel Messi, I want to give this message out to Sudanese. I'll try to switch between English and Karang and Tomonjang as well. When he found Aluel, when they fell in love, she was a soccer player. Am I right?
What is
That's
that?
what she loved doing. Yeah?
Yeah,
So
she plays soccer.
if he knew that, he should have stopped from day one. He should have.
So I hope those who just come with fake name, they should come with their real name, and if they wanted to come and here, I will welcome them. But just to do a fake name because you disagree with what we are saying, and then you just wanted to bash or just tarnish people here, it wouldn't help you. It wouldn't help you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Apuk.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is this: sometimes the biggest mistake we make, all humans, is this: we have desires. Yeah. We like something, we see something, we want that, we want it, we want to be a part of that. But the biggest problem that we make is this, especially with Rormonjing, we need to be careful. The reason why is because Tioginya kada kidene loy ke kinier mush leave her, because she's not, there's very slim chances that you will change that individual, very slim. So let's say, for example, if you want to date a woman that is very ambitious, very highly ambitious, she has goals, she has plans, she's career oriented, she will leave you, and this will lead to disagreement, and then this is where domestic violence comes in. So marry someone that you feel is your standard. Ting bi arer by could be din mit could be mong mit ke waiting in wejeret. Okay, look for that woman, you will find her. Okay, so don't go and look for women that are very driven, and you think that you're going to Bakaban town in Bay. They'll keep on kura, you know. If you try to put it in the water, what happens? It usually comes up because the density is just not. It's not going to happen. So be mindful, my brothers, of today's women, of us, even me as an individual. I'm very outspoken. I'm very driven. If a man wants to be with me in the future, he needs to be prepared that this is who I am, and he has to accept me for who I am. He's not going to change like me. You can't change people. So the sort of, don't be overly ambitious. That's all I can say.
You know, Kudu, Poop, what you have said is right. What you are saying here is right for those who live in diaspora, those who live in West. Sometimes they have that choice. But those who live in South Sudan, they have sort of kind of choice. But, you know, financial aspect sometimes, you know, corner them. And I do see that. And when you said this emotional thing is not only, you know, on women, men also, they are encountered the same thing. Like him, because there is a certain way that men in our community are brought up in men, you have to be strong. You don't need to feel like you're weak. Like who does not have that weakness? And any human being has that weakness. Anyone can have an emotion. You know, that's something that happened. Yes, you're right. They need to have, a freedom of choice, a right choice, but we need to send a message too to the parents, to those who are always, after the money. After, rangan lang viet, rangan lang well, rangan wazir, rangan man flan, man burjawaz, man wazir, man flan. But you know what? Do you know where you are getting your daughter into? It's not about just being a wazir or about being into Gurush Katir, who's all into business and into all this thing. These are our people always need to understand in well running Kaloi. Money are made by human beings. And what a beautiful for a young lady and a young man, or whatever, two couples, they love themselves, they love one another. Actually, to establish family, and they start from scratch. Will feel that he is part of that, she is part of that. We built it together. That's good. But sometimes when you come in and you get everything ready, the other person, it may not have that heart that you have. It may feel like I built all this kullu by myself, and now you are in it, and he might use it, against you. People are not the same. People are not the same, and they do. All this thing, you are not in there, and then he start acting arrogantly, and he forgot actually what brought you guys together. And that's why we need to be wise, choice of mind. You got to look for someone mind, is that person that doesn't make sense? How he's gonna react to that, how she's gonna react to that. That's what needed. That's what needed. It's not about that's a bullshit, I'm sorry to say that. So Puk, let me give a chance to Achol and to weigh in, and then we will get back here. Don't go anywhere, please. I know Amel, she has issues. Amel, please, I want you to refresh your phone. Turn off your phone and then turn it back on, and it will be okay. Because now this thing, when I bring you up, it keep pushing you out. And just delete all the apps or whatever kids are using. I know kids, they use the phone, and refresh it, and then come back. You'll be okay. Ashol, please go ahead. You mute yourself. Can you unmute yourself, Ashol? Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Ashol.
Okay. Got it. We still haven't got a hang of technology, even if we've been using this for a while. It keeps somebody talking while on mute. We got more the Ben, and I'm sorry I came in late, guys. It's Saturday morning. That's why I was like, Junko, how could you put this on at 9 a.m.? You meant to sleep in on a Saturday.
Well, I'm working on it, and this now is 4 something, in the United States, 4 p.m., 4:47, and he worked with my girl. And tomorrow I have a political, talk show. Go ahead.
How are you?
Thank you. Too, Sister Jo.
Thank you, as well, Jonko, and thanks for this opportunity and to host this very important topic, actually. And I'm actually looking at comments because I decided now to sign in my laptop so that I could read comments, because I'm very interested in what people are saying. Because I would like to know, because I've been viewing and die for a while, and I'm usually the kind of a person that takes time when things like this happen. I watched a bit, because to me sometimes when I have very high emotions, I tend to stay away from a topic because I never know how to react to it. I may be so angry, or I may be so blunt, or so I tend to stay away from such issues. And to be honest, when it comes to domestic violence, I would like to say that this can be a trigger to a lot of us women. If it's not to us as individuals, then it's to our friends, or our sisters, our cousins, or in fact our mothers as well. We've seen how much they've gone through domestic violence at a younger age. I would say that I've seen some that my mom went through when I was a little girl. If it's not from my dad himself, then it's from my uncles. So domestic violence can come in many forms. South Sudanese, and I will mix my language. I apologize to the public, everyone that's watching today, that if I tend to drift into Tongwanjang, then please just pardon me. I like to express some things in Tongwanjang, and if I'm going to speak in English, which is what I choose most of the times, that's because I need to explain certain things in English, which I rarely do in Tongwanjang. And if I'm going to speak very fast, pardon me as well, because I'm always a fast speaker. I just want to get the hell out of here. I'm sorry for my language. But sometimes I can speak very fast that I can't even breathe. First of all, like I said, we got to go more and acknowledge the fact that we need to speak about this important topic today, need to be recognized. I would also like to mention that I think most of the topics are here. Pug has touched some crucial points there. You've touched some of them as well in Jonkor. And I may have some more, or maybe just add on to what you guys have touched, or maybe we just have a bit of discussion here and there. Now, moving on. So I would like to say that when Monjang, Peter Mayen Majong is not just Peter Mayen Majong. First of all, Peter Mayen Majong holds a high-profile office in South Sudan. He's the Minister of Disaster and Humanitarian what?
Affairs.
Minister of Disaster and Humanitarian Affairs. First of all, that's a high office. Secondly, that's a very, very important office for him to actually role model what he does within the country. Secondly, I would like to also acknowledge, I like also to make people understand that Peter Mayen Majongdit of course, is biologically biologically but in the office that he holds is a South Sudanese.
Correct.
So I want people to understand that if such issues come up sometimes, let's not divide ourselves. When we condemn, at this point in time, I believe every South Sudanese has a right to actually sit and critique what Mayen Majong has done, whether from Equatoria, Murle, or whatever tribe of South Sudan. Everyone has the right to hold Peter Mayen Majong accountable for his misdeeds. So he's not a Chemoy Warab, Chemoy Barkazal, a Chemoy wherever. Being from Warab as well, or being from Barkazal, is not synonym to what is it? Domestic violence. Domestic violence is a universal concern. Domestic violence is widespread. It's happening all over the world. It's the degree of how much it happens is the difference. In Australia, there is so much to do with domestic violence. But it's how it's handled, or a country when they need the regulations that actually underpin this issue. That's where the difference is. So let's understand that Peter Mayen Majong holds a high office. He is being held accountable that in his position as a Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management Minister, he has the obligation to actually uphold what he stands for. And there is a conflict of interest whereby if he decides to abuse his own wife, then who else can he not abuse really? So put that one aside.
Of course, my brother, anyone from Equatorial, whatever, this is for South Sudanese Jama. And like I said, this bright woman you see on the screen, they are the one that accepted my invitation. I'm always, inviting everybody. So I don't have, a favor. I don't have any side. Whoever, accepted, whoever that have that moral courage and moral obligation to come is the person that you see, and that's what we do. We extend our invitation to all always. Ashola, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. That's all. So I said, when we see comments, we have to reply to them. It's important. So also, let's also understand that domestic violence is not one-sided. Domestic violence does not happen only to women. It happens to men as well. In Australia, and I would always refer to Australia because I haven't lived so much in South Sudan. And in fact, in Australia here, let's say, for example, women have been empowered. Women are economically empowered. They hold keys to their, let's say, financial records or things like that. So women have power here in Australia, whereby powers have actually shifted to a point that some women can use that power to abuse men. So let's also say that it does not only happen to women. I mean, it happens to men. But when it comes to percentages, when it comes to rates, the ratio of women being abused is higher than the ratio of men being abused. That is why it's more of a concern when it comes to women. Women have lesser powers in life when it comes to economic everywhere in the world. Women have lesser economic powers. Women have disadvantages that make them prone to abuse. Like they can be pregnant, they can be disabled, they can have young children, they could, all these kind of things. They make women become, a target to be abused by some men. So the ratio of men is higher than women. So I've seen a comment there, people saying that Apuk and Achol are going to take side of their own women. We are not here to take side. We are here to say that domestic violence is the problem, whether it's happening to anybody. Mm-hmm. It's a human right for anybody in the world, whether we're man or woman, never to be abused. I think. I also want to say that because when you, Jonkor and Apuk, when Jamwek, I also want to say that there is this remark that we need to put aside by saying that Mayen Majong is probably going through mental health issues. I would like to disagree with that comment. Let's not label anyone yet because we don't know whether he's really going through mental health issues or not.
Yeah, you're right, Achol. Like this is based on what had happened, because this is not.
I understand.
One incident. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, not one incident.
Yes, I do understand. I do understand where you're coming from. Like that would be the issue every time when somebody acts in such a manner. We would always say maybe something is not right.
Yeah, it will.
But let's also. But I would also. The reason I'm trying to say that is that I would like to say that. There is no excuse for domestic violence.
Absolutely.
It's either you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. And I believe if Mayen Majong were in public, he would never abuse his wife. That's because he chooses not to. So if he's in private with him, that's because he knows no one else is going to see him. So in reality, he's actually choosing the behavior to do whatever he's doing. If he's going through things like, let's say, alcohol is not a reason to abuse your wife, because I believe Naira and Monde Dekman weird. In a chair we are meant to Jalvala Torco quite giving between. You know, we are going by until by a sober. So I'm gonna say, let's not have an excuse for domestic. There's no excuse for domestic violence at all. So people cannot blame it on alcohol. People cannot blame it on past experiences. People cannot blame it on anything. It's a choice when we come to this. I think. To make South Sudanese understand first what domestic violence is, I will just highlight a few things that I have written down for people to understand that domestic violence, I think most of the times nowadays, if somebody has been hurt, she's been bashed, she's been battered. Now we've seen it, this is a serious problem. But in reality, Aluel could have been going through a lot of things, There could be emotional abuse, there could be financial abuse, there could be control and exertion of power that we don't know about. It's getting when a physical thing, it's getting. So South Sudanese, we can understand domestic violence come in so many forms. I think. And this is a topic that is so close to my heart, by the way. It's very, very close to my heart because I have seen so many women in my life being abused by their husbands. Like I used to think to myself, like, I think a man doesn't have a right to I don't think so. To me, even when I was a little girl, before I even started to learn how to read or write, people think that because I'm educated, that's the reason I'm acting in such a liberal manner. But I believe that but culturally, people think it's all right for a woman. You only have a right to discipline your child, not discipline your wife. Because in reality, your wife is your partner. Both of you are adults that live together under one roof, that if you make decisions, both of you make. Okay, now I'm I used to think about this logically when I was young, not because I haven't picked today and I actually understand what all of these means, or I can actually maneuver around and educate myself about these things. But when I was little girl, I used to say that I can never allow a man to abuse me. Getting about God, Kala and I could I used to tell my dad, like, man, I know I need to buy if somebody take there is no way you can place your hand on an adult, but like that is so wrong. I think. So just to touch on domestic violence a little bit, for just for the public to understand, I would like to say domestic violence comes in so many forms. It can come in a form of a financial abuse. I think in this case, I would say that Peter Mayen Majong has that in an upper hand. He's a minister. He has the economic power in that relationship to control Aluel in whichever way he wants. Because minister, so he can do whatever he wants. So he's going to use his financial status to actually exert that power over Aluel. So financial abuse comes in one of them. And this is not only to Aluel, it happens almost every other woman. That if a man has economical power over his other partner, he will definitely use that to control them. There is also verbal abuse, which is another form of domestic violence. If you verbally abuse your wife, put her down, belittle her, criticizing her every now and then, that is domestic abuse. Another one is using emotional or psychological abuse. That one is very, very, very common. It's very common that people think that really doesn't hurt people, but it does hurt people. When you're mentally unstable, and that's why most of the times we see women just walking around mentally unstable. They are psychologically abused, and they're just walking around just like zombies, just pushing for tomorrow. Psychologically abused. And psychological abuse come in forms of control, in threats, when you're being threatened all the time. All these kind of things. This is all abuse. This is all control. And this happens a lot, you know. Another one is using technological abuse. Technology these days is very common. You know, people using photos without your permission. This happened last year. Dinganyai made videos. He made things on Facebook talking about a man in a very distasteful way. So that was another way nowadays that you can use it to actually control them or manipulate your partner. So that's another form of domestic violence. Another form of domestic violence is stalking, following, or harassing them. For example, Aluel Messi, Mayen Majongdit, that's why she has the name Aluel Messi. I believe isn't Messi one of the popular soccer players? You know? So now I don't see the reason why he would want to come and control Aluel. That she's passionate about, because when he met her, he fell in love with Aluel because Aluel plays soccer, and he's a big fan of soccer in Mayen Majong. So now we want to that is control. And that is, you shouldn't even follow her to her place. But he stalked her, he followed her to where she was. Another one is kidnapping or holding someone against their will. Is in Aluel being held? According to what I've been reading from according to what I've been reading from a mill, and a few posts that I've seen today is that Aliu, and he's not bringing her back. Okay, now at this point, hell, we don't even know whether Aluel is safe. Is she okay? Is she alive? Because at this point, she's probably in danger. We don't know that. Do we know that? So this one should give people and understand that this is actually quite an alarm. It's a red code, whatever they call it. That is an alarm that if Aluel that's an issue itself. That's kidnapping. He kidnapped her and is holding her against her will. Another form is neglecting someone when they are dependent on the perpetrators. So at the point when Aluel now probably she's at the vulnerable stage of her life, she depends on Peter Mayen. She depends on him, whether morally, emotionally, or financially. She's dependent on him. But if he's the one that's abusing her, like Peter Mayen is the perpetrator, then that's also a form of abuse. Another form of abuse is causing or threatening damage to the property. We go back to when Peter Mayen went to Nkura, threatening everybody around and causing chaos in public. Another form of abuse is indirectly towards children, because obviously when you abuse a mother of your children, know that will create it goes down the line, because if the mother of a child is emotionally unstable, that will definitely affect your kids. So people also need to understand that domestic abuse can not only affect the woman that you're abusing, it also affects your children. So then you need to understand what type of emotional state are you putting your wife or the mother of your kids in. I think. Another form is causing or threatening injury to others. I think. Anybody around as well, let's say, for example, Peter Mayen could be threatening where you think like that. That's also another form of violence. You know, another form is causing generally causing injury or threats to the property or to harm anybody around. That's all form of control, a form of manipulation, because in reality, Peter Mayon could be having, or let's say in this case, any man who has that sort of way would want to control that woman, isolate her from everybody around her, so that they don't question them any other source where she can get access to people that can support her, so he can be able to be the one that can be abuse. I think. So it becomes, all of this becomes things that happen. So Yan, sorry, the comments are distracting me. Yeah, so now that we understand this is what domestic violence does, South Sudan can actually very strong regulation. Actually laws are one get by your protect against such abuse. Laws are limited, like they are not being implemented very well. The mention comes in and interferes a lot, because when it comes to marriages or traditional marriages, blah blah blah, it all goes back from the modern court or whatever and take it back to Ganun Wanalel. Unalela back to Ganun Wanalel command. I believe Tini and Ganun Wanalel actually, as much as it needs to be regulated, it somehow justifies things to do with the I would say Ganun Wanalel one in Luyan form, the way I have heard about it, the way I've seen a few comment remarks about it, it does actually help. It defends women. Women are protect, because maninya well manati maninya batia kula by pande. Can you protect the way? Because if you face heavy fines, now lawyer you face heavy fines by paying up. That thing. Ganun Wanalel can be indirectly suppressing women as well, because a yellow that thing again, it comes down to the parent. So in reality, in the end of the day, individual, individual, you know. Last year, I would like to give an example. The issue when we faced a lot of a backlash from the community. Everything went down to the fact that people thought that Kanye war up against Rumbek. Issue Louis, you know, things went like, even the truth, the Kiroban you blanket pet ran and Chiraman, follow to the end. We followed all of her case. I follow to the end of it. And the end of it, Ganun, look at Chibaniat court, the high court. Naleja high court, look at Ganun Wanalel, a man has followed all regulations. We get through Ganun Wanalel, and Kijitiak, a man kicking a Yakitiak, a Lemonichetiak, 20 Moniche Yako, Winter, Kenner and the Nomi. Mida check a band got to tame a king when you want to again twin. Now will well me up a judge got a gamma, I want to being looked at Peter. You quite can look at Reapto, I quite put me to call me that man right now. I take a map when your man doesn't know where her kids are. A man quit to tell me getting. They don't know, she doesn't know where her children are, she doesn't have access to her children, she cannot see her children. Getting because in the end of the day, as much as we come and talk about all of this regulation, we jump about everything in South Sudan creating into corruption, because there is corruption. If you're economically powerful, then you will definitely buy people. Ni bu koy watch bu ko nukudu pilwel whether kudu e wala wet ke la sin ja yini ngi. Getting when it chiro kan dinga nyai last year. Right now we see the same thing could happen to Peter Mayen Majong, because Peter Mayen Majong is a minister. Getting now a minister achievement under no power, and that's why I've already seen comments amongst people saying that trying to defend his behavior. Whether Bichanga minister Bichanga Yen Bankir Mayadi, then he needs to act in the right way. Getting but again, corruption, nepotism, all of these divisive things come in, and people will tend not to see the truth. That's why I say society that is drifting away from morally being upright. Society is drifting away from saying the truth. Because we book a jam when Iran when the chin will, well when Iran when the higher position, the jam it automatically in a jam here. Getting but this is wrong. So today I would also reflect back. I think I saw a group of women, South Sudanese women group. They've called for I think they might go out for protest. They've written their protest letters to the office of the president. I've also seen something somewhere. I don't know if it's true. Jonko, you may confirm, saying that I think Peter Mayen has been stood down in his party. Party day or something. I don't know if it's true. Sometimes
it's still not clear.
It's still not clear. But if that has really happened, the General Lord, because I've seen 2 of the documents like that, if that has really happened, then I would like to actually give thanks to Yen and a party, Peter Mayen Majong, or any party the entire one, so for them to know that we are actually on the right track. We are actually on the right track. If that has really happened, that's a good sign to show the country that domestic violence is unacceptable. It's wrong. Secondly, if you're holding an office, you're a person of a high profile, you are expected to act in a manner that really role models what you are standing for. Peter Mayen Majong stands for humanitarian affairs. Beating his wife that way does not say anything about humanity. So he's actually doing things contrary to what he stands for. Getting what is it? When we come to all of this, we as a patriarchal society is quite patriarchal. These days, is quite dictated. When she in a rail with a chat with Ghana is dictated nowadays. Don't I go on and can't yell well one. She I don't get it. Wouldn't you come? Wouldn't you walk by when water for back? Would you say that? Go Jala Lela walk, Lela walk up, got your way a bed. In a we brought Lloyd these days. Dollar Chukoya Gama Line and dump up a gam, Yen dollar come whoever. You don't care whether she's gonna live or die or pull a mere. You don't care anymore. But now you're young one young there, cheating you and Kinja one young over, Kireba upon one young, but she didn't know who in. She took one young there on any chunk of I kept Mutiochi culture are so corrupted, we don't even know what sort of culture we are right now. But before then, Sambalelina Gamyan, Rania we break in, Aran, when you fit it. Ranun we break in, Aran, in a background. You have to do a background check. What kind of a person? They're going reaching, they're going to go attack, they're quite one that knows how to resolve issues. They're quite all these kind of things are your job, you know. So there Hanyan who a gam, Chala bitchin walk by the winter, you got them. The Canadian dear a paid hit a gam in Kanyan, but a gam by cook. They are to win be a wrong yam, to win be walk jam, Marano. Lucky nowadays, Fallon, walk out to Ben, you think walk I been in form of dollar to coin more go to an extent, ya dump to them. As you think, you come whoever. Now, John Rana la jam about them, Binya, which are abuse. Binya, which are local, because he has already bought you using that dollar. That you could dollars up is to keep having access to that dollar. A India, Bianatanga, and will abuse Kayele Mandi Parapin. Mandi rare, Mandi Jampa Andu. Just because you are benefiting from that person. So, like I said, in the end of the day, we still come back to saying that our society is so much drifting away from morality. It's drifting away from saying the truth. But it's drifting. We are just being blindfolded by materials, by money, by dollar, by all of this kind of thing. It's quite doing blindfold. People have forgotten that what you are hurt in the process are the women themselves. People also forget that these women who are getting hurt are not just going to be women by themselves. It trickles down to the generation that comes. Because even Midken, they will go through the same situation they've been through. you know. So it's important to understand today that Nayoko issue Chiraka, which is a very controversial issue, like I said, you know, it's a very controversial topic to talk about. People need to understand we are not talking to address the issue that's happening now. Peter Mayen Majongdit took beat and Bubanta on a spot, look on them, Bubu bash, Bubu trash. In the end of the day, he's a human being, but he's just making wrong choices. He's making wrong choices. He needs to do the right thing. He needs to role model being a leader in a community. What is he supposed to do? So that everybody else in South Sudan understand that community leaders and whatever we're trying to address today, we're not just addressing it for the sake of it, we're addressing it because we have a generation to look after. 2 or 3 generations down the line need to understand that such vile issues that happen within a community, domestic violence, are not the right way to go. Yeah, I believe in it conflict will resolve. Now you attend command, let's say for example, child counseling. There is a couples counseling, there is a relationship counselors, there is family violence counselors. If a problem arises, conflict arises everywhere in every relationship. But if a conflict arises between 2 people, husband and wife, they always cannot agree. They cannot agree, or they cannot come to a momentum whereby they understand. Okay, and we need this and that. With a third party, for a counselor, so that a counselor can help them through maneuver through their issue. The problems can be kajami, now there's no any mediation happening. Everywhere. That in there is divorce. But if you maybe some people are not really good at it. If a woman wants to walk away, if a man wants to walk away, then you rather cause chaos by causing harm to them or things like that. Maybe but again, we comes down to it. There is always a choice. You're not supposed to choose to do the wrong thing. So and I think I may have mentioned most of the things that I wanted to mention. I will look at the comments and
Ashol, thank you so much, for really, addressing these issues. I know you talk about, in our culture, particularly the Dinkas, Nuer, being South Sudanese in general, there is a favor when it comes within the family and a boy, they favor that. We know that. And we grew up with that. And sometimes you feel like you said that I was feeling, why always, men have apprehended. This is the structure of the culture. But what we need to do now, as a people of common purpose, Dr. John said that when you go outside to your neighbor and see the way they arrange their thing, you quite learn something. You learn something. Now, if we were back home, you and I and a Pook, and maybe there is no even a little education, we would have been talking different, right? Lakin, the education is the light, and that's why through education you will figure it out. Oh, you know what? Filan kana Muslimin. I feel the same way. Maybe, like I said, if I was going after the cattle, my perspective would have been different. It would have been different the way I see women. It would have been different the way I see the girls. Like in the education that I get, moving from this country and out of Khartoum, and then I went to Egypt, and I came to America, and I see the way people are interacting. Also being in the church, you see that there is no difference between men and women. They are all the same people. So to address that issue, actually, it's not just men. They did this and they did that. Like it has something to do with the structure of the country, and that's why whether it is Salatin, whether Nasbit had gender inequality in the country, they need to address this issue. Because really, there is no difference between a little girl and a little boy. You grow up, you go to school, you go this, you become a doctor, you become a medicine doctor. medical doctor, and you become an engineer, you become this and that. And that's what needed to happen. And when that happened, and then I will see some changes happening. Like, you know, of course, yeah, like what you said, Peter Mayen Majongdit, you know, does not give him a right if he has the money, to act like that way. But this is the culture that's happening, you know. This is what they are doing. And that's why we say always, no, they're dominating because of what they have. Plus, the culture already existed in the Masalan, and a winyan pat, and a winyan wilban ping. Yes, nobody doesn't want that. And that and Jonko and winyan bargo and winyan quiz, you know. But a woman of common purpose, a woman that will understand me. We can work things together. That's the way it is. But if life didn't work, and then we can just resolve it in peaceful manner. Some people now here, they are writing here, they are accusing me, oh, you are abuser too. If you divorce your wife, doesn't mean that you are abuser. If you divorce, doesn't mean that you are abuser. Thing didn't work, and because thing didn't work, you cannot force it. And in a peaceful way, go to my record in the United States. If you find me that I am abuser, and come and challenge me, I bet you will not find anything that I am abuser, because I'm an activist of human rights. Actually, if somebody doesn't want to live with you, you cannot force them. You know, they can go whatever they wanted to go, you know, and then live their life. That's how it should have happened, you know. Like, you know, unfortunately, Aluel was tricked by this gentleman who comment, and he said, oh, maybe he thought Aluel was cheating with the soccer players or football players. Well, you knew since day one. In Aluel, she played, soccer.
Let me answer that.
I know. I want to complete, and then I will give you an answer. And then if Aluel is scored, of course she's going to hack our colleagues, and that's the norms. That's something obvious. And then this girl knows you into Fanan. Of course, you're gonna get in the stage, and people are gonna cheat on you, and whoever gonna hug you. And if you are in the politics, people are going to talk. That's people need to understand this. They need to understand this. Okay, you cannot be jealous to that extent. You know, they attack to Maratak, or they attack to your lover. No, if you cannot handle it, just let her go. Let us go to your family. You know, Baraha, and then Moldo intaha. That's how it's supposed to happen. But this thing, yes, need to be addressed, you know, in the national level. You know, Minister of Gender and others and community leaders, they need to interfere. Nya is not a property. Woman is not a property of men. I'm not saying that. When you talk like this, because I remember my father told me that. You know, when I challenged and I said, my father, why you have 3 wives? And he said, why would you say that? And I said, because I see that it's not the right thing. This is when I was in high school in Khartoum. And he said, why would you say that? And I said, I don't see it. You know, you cannot divide your heart into 2. Something like that. I was being sarcastic, talking with my father. Can you imagine? And Mantik, who is not Mantik? We are all son of women and son of men at the same time. Then at the end, kullu in the door, you know. Everyone had a role to play. Yes, I'm Mantik and I'm man, all these things. So our community need a lot of work. I don't want to waste that on you to answer that question that you wanted to answer. Like, if there is a lot of people here, they are still talking, they are still saying that, oh, leave this married the family.
What I wanted to say is,
leave married the family. It's not matter of family, Ajama. Tinas guy dugum kuliom kwalang ko yet roll king knock kwalang diar roll king knock kwalang roll diar king knock, but they are not being brought to the light. We are talking about this case because it's out there. That's why we are talking about this particular case. That's why we are talking about this particular case. These people, they need to understand that. So I shall go ahead and answer that. I shall give a chance to weigh in and give her, you know, a really remark to the community and the society. Go ahead.
What I wanted to answer first of all is this: that people will always be criticized. Jordan wrote this kind of topics in our community, like I said, when are controversial. Now, you have a controversial issue, you have to really be brave to come here and speak about them. I think I've always spoken about domestic violence. Like I said, when it's something that's very close to my heart. I've seen women in my area, in my community, by Panda, Paneda, Gukaba, Panda, Diarumtiok, even my own friends, even myself, I've experienced a certain stage. So it becomes an issue because you find that many people don't really understand this. Understand. you know. And I would always refer to myself because I have had issues in my relationship. And when I had issues in my relationship, when I was in Melbourne, I actually moved. I moved Melbourne to another state because Melbourne was the state. I moved to another state. My mom is that my mom is state. And I'm like, what? Do I have to wait there that, you know? So this is mentality. All even women themselves. This from a woman. This is from one of my auntie that I grew up one theory in my man New Jane, and I have watched how much my uncle used to abuse her because my uncle was alcoholic. Every day. And have seen how much she has suffered. And she's the one that think it's normal for another woman to be abused. So I was really shocked. And then I attributed to, you know, it's a culture that has been normalized. It's really normalized in our community. It's really normalized that in the end of the day, because I will take a much. Well, will it take a much stay in the bedroom? Intimacy. Between Aluel Mayen Majongdit in their own bedroom, in their own intimate bed. That's none of our business. But when they come in public here and bash each other while we are watching, that is our business.
And then that's the matter.
That is our business because there is no way living and then you walk away like a business day. It's none of their business. It's everybody's business in the end of the day. In Australia, there is a tip of line. There is a tip of line that if any issue, if you see your neighbor being abused, if you see somebody being abused, people abusing each other, you have the right as a citizen. You have the right as a citizen to pick up the phone, the tip of line, call them, and let them know that my neighbor is being abused. Or I have seen an issue of domestic or family violence going on around my area. That is, in the end of the day, every citizen has an obligation to look out for the other. We all have a duty of care. We all have a duty of care to look out for each other. No problem. That is completely an act of against humanitarian rights. And we all have the right. It doesn't work like that. So people need to understand that even a Korbika laws, we will still need to understand every citizen has a right to actually step in when somebody else is being abused. You know, we think about you abuse. You need not to abuse your wife. Now, look, continue. Then there is a law that handles that. There is court. There is police. People that are law keepers. So it's okay. The change is never going to come if we don't talk about things. Change a chip ban. Watch change to know. We have to start conversations right now. We have to start talking about these things because one thing I know for sure is that there is the cultural interference. Culture will interfere in a lot of our things. Culture. Even culture that you know misconstrued. People think culture is the wrong thing. Culture is not that bad. Culture is good. If we go back to our real culture and come back on culture that is based on humanity. So if we had to go back by then culture. So if change has come, we change doesn't mean that then we have to throw away the good things that did work there, throw it away and adopt Kawaja lifestyle. Kawaja lifestyle is all about humanity. Kawaja lifestyle is all about the rights of a human being, which is what we want for everybody else in South Sudan. I think that you did be good at the rights of everybody. Everyone has a right to life. Everyone has the right to freedom. Everyone has the right to not to be abused or to be isolated or to be all these kind of things. Everybody they know right there. You think so? I think that you did be good. I'm bandu galai. Let you keep it going. Ka we big bad right. I will be got to because these comments come up every time. Like then you got to keep it right. I think it's almost every woman's goal to have a family of her own. And I think young girl a felon, then go into your abuse. Well, into your secondly, thirdly, there is blames always come up, which is an economic answer. Every time our culture or our people have this tendency of blaming the woman. Okay. Tinkan Chimonde to knock and Adi Lankan wood and Kanagina wrote Yaracha knock but Yarana Gupa, Yaraka Rare Kajam, Yarada Guma Shackle. I believe Alan can pellet. Natural Yakale Kalan can ding a pole. What happened to Jonko? So yeah, the host has left the show, so I hope we are on. Okay.
We are, yeah.
All right. So yeah, when it comes to divorce as well, it all comes down to the blame, whereby the woman has to be the one that takes the blame. Human being, he does make mistakes too. So this idea of blaming, of victim blaming, in Kinaluela, we blame. Last year, I think a man blame many times. A man at one point, book you get the more mujirum, and all these kind of things. Those are the reason they got building and this is the same situation with Bello. Can Aluel, even Aluel had to Chinpo, Aluel had to take a Louis cheating in football, and it go Mayan and knock. Does he have a right to be knocked? Doesn't have a right to knock. And then can you learn and it's a car one? I see Quarka La Pandula. So,
Ashol, I'll evaluate to those who are just keep making allegation in no oak. Actually, we are doing this in our own, and the family is not involved. Actually, and he wanted to come so bad, to weigh in. So I asked him, or I asked whoever, connect me, so he can send a friend request, and then I will send him the link. And then we can hear from him, his perspective. Another good, then the matter of the family, leave it to the family and all these things. So go ahead and come with what do.
Yeah, so can we blame games? Can you blame games? Blame it's wrong. And when a contribution when conflict comes, there is no way always we should blame a woman. That is actually like part of control and suppressing. When a kind of react every time because now look at a relationship doing, then or you're walking out of an abusive relationship, you meet the backlash from the society. Society is there to judge you. Society is there to isolate you. And all these kind of things they come up. I think. There was somebody said that why is Aluel not leaving him? Why hasn't Aluel divorced that guy? I think, by the way, the topic on its own, and we had to unpack all the issues that are entailing domestic violence would be a lot. It's always very hard for victims to leave an abusive relationship because they always think that that's one of the reasons she would love to leave, to be in that relationship. I'm in a stage maybe we can see now what Aluel is going to think. Still, it's her decision. It's going to be her decision. But again, we are not going to allow or just watch Peter Mayen Majongdit keep doing this thing. Citizens, we cannot keep quiet. Somebody said that these laws are in South Sudan. Laws in South Sudan. Those are your laws in abroad. This will never come. What laws do you have in South Sudan? First of all, it's a jungle country. At this point, we don't even have a law. So laws have to really be enacted right now. Look at enact so people understand there is a law in that country.
Don't even bother.
And also, no.
He does not understand the sovereign. Lana illegal South Sudan is sovereign. When you become a sovereign, you respect human right, child right, universal right.
That's where I'm going. That is
don't answer him.
No. It's as long as what I'm saying is influences who is short-sighted. Come on, Kubila think that is the right thing. That is not right. Every law in every country is underpinned by universal laws. The laws you can enact one by UN, by the humanitarian rights. So every law, even South Sudan, law can enact. They must, alongside it, they will be underpinned by the humanitarian law, which is universal all over the world. That is why South Sudan is sanctioned every time, because if they are abusing human rights, they get sanctioned. So understanding Iran, we have a pull back galaxy. Sorry.
Okay. Ashol, thank you so much for your perspective. Amel, I will give you a chance, and then I will go for Pook. I know I see Kaidi here. She's staging as well. And I result a link to other people who wanted to come and weigh in as well. So Malaysia Jama is taking a little longer, lakin we intended عشان الموضوع كان نناقشه اليوم. ده موضوع مهم جدا جدا. It require all of us, to be in it, together. So Amel, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. I know in Kirel we are under which got the ninga command. So
Anito jagala mongwale ngomti na pampan la baja
go ahead.
In Chamoda Chol Queen Chamoda Puge. Greeting to all of you, the viewer of Concerned Citizen. I think everyone know me here. I always talk on Facebook. I chala broadband wela pay. So yan jonko ran be jam tong wan jangan tina ite jam English. Achi jongarang lwel wara gala kalang tong wedeng nye chuge wala buguloshin. So kayen waga chamot nyirka chakwal. Kibi ko iten ekan Aluel ko jalayen Mayen Majongdit te achol na ko wan rian ka ko wo en kibi ko e chongo pin bana tot ka juj won ro junub Sudan lakin at this moment ki jemi ekan Mayen ku jala Aluel ki ro loy ba the situation real well then at this moment earlier I got one there ku lala gala in entire ko jok lakin ran the blue intervenes or community or sultan you intervene bit ken nyanti na biting de lu la ka from by pan Mayen ko chen nom pier hong den kuch on kuj tin en nyanti nga fa bola kuj ko joge enio ya rusa pi ko jog ko kuj bay ko joge de che jale ka kilo wong kina no bula e chok bula di bu bay en kedien ta te un ter I know many people are thinking biya ngudia kan jinubin tabana ni many people are led and then when in American kunga didi generalization and a mela religious shamba kana yin generalize kun bu community la yin hot I always choose my word carefully. I don't like holding the entire community but clue and focused in e waye nyantine en jal bulu ga chennom pia kwei ko tina le chok bula di idara kuma bita goria la kuma len governor en alena ye le bula mantin gan chok bula di either community or leaders or ngadibas whatever rapping because of wa ku goria le janwe akoy goria ka bulu explain the most ngolo rotate to like go new to it right and ko lorot mading man ka koy mading ka le ka the most hal to take no guna en e wong rinde chelatin because awe ngi gang duni isn't it so en kun tie jan question ko che kan lang kan yin gasudu ben yen community go real ka ti reju ngadi ange ben yen Mayen ku jala Aluel aran ka tiang de has nothing to do with the entire community ache community bene ni chiro tia Aluel ka Mayen lakin ale ben kin ti ko ja tor kala ngi pal ko ja ti but pal. What came in my mind is that Aluel ti but chuk pal ko ti lwe ga ti Mayen ja tiong no mut ti nan lo ko ti nan ye tim ko ti nan ngadi dit I lang zamana se de hanin idilo minte kana Aluel jami fi Facebook iten ai lwe ka ti Mayen pen ko ti ti ko lwe Mayen a wichuk by government bita warap le yo malela ki dom ngwen koy gogen Mayen biti dom bu bay police to bu ben ting na Aluel en kaltan kabijal pol be no en Aluel kaltan na Mayen en kaltan kabijal yen kabu mai wala len to wona koy kaltan do tin kayatin en kedien wonan teach many question I have a lot of question in my mind to ask so there is no other Biden but often fi Canada mami what sorry yeah even guys sorry okay Biden the dire amtin fi Canada kulan kulu ran pandian ka police ayuk wala de chongi ben town chul ka police kana babu bab dong to because it's a life of human being babu bab dong to ku ben babe e mojera in trouble ka bi mojbe e tigera in trouble ka bi tigbe ku peka yi brana bi yaten ku yadran kenten ashan ngudi anegrut pin okay anegrut ku bi live ku bi tegi which mean elwe ka chi Mayen tiang ma mod ande kuchina lo bela di achina bu ben pia wul bu ben le dala ka ba ben be beriel ran ka tiang dawon lakin government bita wara ayen be yen so achina
Amel, keep in your mind, in South Sudan, if you are a minister, if you have a power, and then there is no random person, whether in Kwajok, whatever, in Gogrial, can come and say, Mayen, you did this and you did that. Yeah, okay? I believe that's the situation. That's what happened.
It mean that kakuma liu. Kakuma li bai. Elwe gal munya tinga chi tiang de tiang ngut ko gut pal ko tiang ngut ko en kan cha ping picture alwe la chi na twele ko chi na lo that mean akuma li bai or Mayane ni chi jala president ben kin lu bu ko la ade bu ku kadanga ku bu tingin ku bu la food be jin la no life saving
Amel kuwi balelen kin I think sometimes ka got Facebook jaru nya out of context I chiran chi ngi ngun chalo mean and I think until comment kutu you when chinele we kwaja go warap wala go
no I said
kwaju and the reason Luyan comment sometime and kichol domestic violence kana che kana pan to che kana wul ko che kana ko che kana so kana we but we can tell well when a mel palo ga bla life and we need to talk about this look jam around the lines of division but now that China chalu explain I see your point pelan kwa joga lang akuma but ukuma kadang kwa joga yena talmudia you know what yeah what is it, what do you call it in English? Capital city. The capital of the Arab state. So Fallon and then Ukuma. So now this kind of thing which you don't know Fallon, this is your first point is to ask Ukuma Warab and Co. Banya Lena Yenko, why is this happening? What you and address and it's gone for more than 24 hours. Domestic violence has to be responded to within 24 hours. Who is the victim? Is she okay? Is she not by Fallon? She's probably in danger. So can I but yeah, and I think sometimes when you see a lot of comments going around the ranchman, are leading the country like in the jungle. That the way they abuse their women is the way they're handling the country. This is happening everywhere. Cheating and then they are called because they are a low profile people. A low profile people are like me. When we would have addressed big flare up like this kitchen can ding and the reason chicken Peter people are public figures. These people are public figures. We know them. They are supposed to uphold, the right thing is supposed to be done within the country. And I give for example, and people don't every time people think that look compare but I'm a public office, by the way. There you have ethics and you have morals when you look guy. So if your interest becomes conflicted, you have the right to step down or address it quickly. But I do address him and can I want to Peter Mayen Majongdit kang letting and yarwa. Ula ding in chawo loy. Yin be like ben straight away kula address kula jama between me over tiangi and kin the kuyana na tingi bala loin kuana mudu ba mushkila dabula lo hello ba. No, he still came back to come and justify his point. So when we brought him and Kin Peter, my intendment, Akilu stepped down straight away. Kid Banzar public address Kuleka lawyer what we and Jacapol Gadam Duk Bala lawyer address. So you need a mail, I'm sorry, when Anuel, I tell you between a will go real or a will go Arab. No, this is everybody issue.
One band got Kalagar go reala kama by like a jungle country. If a lake Ben Koi go real, but I take a ban. I take a ban. I have President Kirin Banyan from Goria. It doesn't and be ranto from that place. But you koi Louis. I think the Cholkadang state where I in Bible be in level the Galakato. By more torment car that drive to look again, denga in problem, denga by quite my because I need what you denga, but and my few denga basket rapping down for other tribe. I reckon that I get denga. So kind of they are, is their opinion is not has nothing to do with my question that I asked.
Thank you, Abel. Well, go ahead.
Kayan Mayen wakalar lere na wul achilo kumoy dangi chak ping taban ke as when churot pang loy achilo kumoy dangi but would quite some of a william I do ke legal ko wit bunok kuchi broadband loy government and ban do intervene, which is why kujala commissioner butawul in ban do intervene kulwang mayan bujal buban ko jok ena alwela te chinyam tini de chen karmen tinga chilo nguchi ena luang kubutu tan ko panden den ye deal pati mayan tiang ngamut wala ci jall lu escape ci menele kay lu escape kaka kay ko ting media ban kay mu ci la gor ci den ci lu escape tum ko ko tu ko panden a question when you raise up there ko ya ngor ka tar tin man tin ka juja ba go be le ya khi ni ko nyen wer den nyana wul win ko all this stuff actually you are facing I face them too man tin elel man ameza to ngulu an interview kan mayadi bu pan mayan Kubupan mayan jongkur jalan jam ngada.
Oh, magana you balwela telewe kan load back load personalized. If we start talking
about personalized. No, it's personalized.
What I wanted to say,
I buban video ko buban yen kadang ko buban yen analyze. So kadang wi ba bay mun kwan bija jal tin tin kulwel ke ga chula sasen, okay?
No, what I wanted to say, don't worry. I mean, if somebody says something about you, if somebody says something about me, about a show, now I know that people are going to talk about us. So you guys don't need to worry. You need to address this issue in Mayen Majongdit. They need to be held accountable. They need to be charged with all these things. They need to resign. These are the most important things. But because people will disagree with you, they're gonna say, "Also, Amel, why are you talking about this? Jonker, why are you talking about this?" Now they are writing a lot of things bad about me. I don't mind them. They can do whatever, you know. Go ahead.
Aja kon lad min tin Jonker man kapol man wa loy kadang roden go ke gwale la ngur reja mel panan wel ka kapan mayen ku yena teng pande ya nan teng pande wa pan ting dat ban nyar ku bria an wi ting kida gu pande chenga ya na raj pande ya ka tin kan pan ting dat raj ke di roden chayo pande we kwan tija. So yeah, this personal issues are one bender and tabande kirota media in the jam you will face a lot. Kayan mayan ayelwela ka lagala ngwe family affair bay kadang media kek mayan a public figure mayan ku jala alwel mayan ating alwel through kien tuej kadang football mu achiting ke karal fi madinga wul ta tui pat kule la gala alwel chan yara chi e chi biyo tan chene media ni chi ja alwel bay nyal kulwela ke lui win fi kwa jo ila war kwa jo ko ja maitin ku ben ja le ju ba bla tu ja ne nyan won tuai tamaman yanda ting ma yana tin ting through media. Also kada Rwanda chi lo through media ka chu ting yana chi Rwan won la da lakin a chu ting chi lo locally and community alwela nyana da bi cham bi Rwanda bi tai kwed ben ku jala yene mabrut bi ngi jana alwela ya be ne kura den kan awar lon Mayen Majongdit tan chene lu kip won ke star ka ping num ben lakin ya huwa shan dollar ko won chi nyan ka jo lela kala you know e to mo jale wala wa ba ko chola gwa be lakin mun tin fi ju ko chi jala we ke chi jala problem de lengi chin dollar roting you know to ngan bana nyan ngadi ka no ku die je bas wada chi nyai gam e lo ki gam e lo ku ko family nyan won bay family won bakarai ni mala yin nyaya ban ro ko tawan fi ju chi family ku ka le ya sa lorten wa ka chu dam that's it kachin injurial le bator ke ko wala mor and for your information tingalwe de ngene chit ki ya cause to in her life wa kala ban ma chi mayen ja duk dalawul mana chi lu to Allah yarhamu mana liu wun na wulena aliu I think wulena I think ra pinta na le buka ban yin an mana ting social media ten ka kriya chi cancer logmat so yen man ti relen ten chi jala abar ading lang family but marana ya important in life tare mantin man tegun everything achi ya kadang achi ya easy but man achi li tin ya so kayen mayan achi lebil wela gala ke powerful bu koy dal fi kidi to junub Sudan ben ma gorwot bitiga gorno wot ko nek de ko gut chok pal tangudi chok pal zatu ko ware ne lela ya nan tinga lwel weden nyi tueji kura en kitinga ne kula ba ban jaga shana I like soccer na man ti jaye na mujere na la gutjo ko gan en kun kura wech bikura jabana la wait kada wala wit blow ya disable chan ku buka da to near near inda kana near that langin na ba near that near ata you work yang ban wan near kala lana tieng biar la kan dia ngograr ngom mun tien ti chang ban wan daran ko
jalmas julo check da lanu ko ja juj pe ko ja tik tarif lana irana wit blang long yu bi chalten
oh okay
risala du jal de risala to wajtin baza chan na di nas dani del majal chan bi ben
okay khalas ay kin mushkila balo chege so na la lan ku bati kale bati jan ku bar wan bija
no in what you be like ko by lana ka ki garu loy they happening every time what you go jam cake because we don't know, we don't see them, like in case Mayen Majongdit because we see it, that's why we're talking about we balwel kuting bro waring we bro war. Go ahead.
Okay, ya ke alwel kin ni no tiga che ya kadang na chelwel te chiwo kin kata pinyo ko kamana ka baja bana no kar boy shrin sa be ne no ko ka ta pin ko garu du pan mo jang wa te de kin tiga le yin abuse ke ko panden wel du nyanda ko ko abu du kin retin also ya ene elu e ko alwel alwel was hina maybe alwel kilang mushkila kama yana dol ko pan mo jang de kitik chen mo dol ko aya duk bai dan ko panden de chen la do la ngadi duk bai dan ko panden kule tiang duna chalat e bana wa wen la jal ka wen so ka jwe jaro lo ka cha da chi rai chamne ta le kalang karai ka cha da chi rai I don't know the dna bi antin ka cha da chi rai lang ka woni yen so without mashakal ke ya kada ke ya pal tawali kun na ko ro ku ya gud nyin ka ka ban kora tan ran chit mayen ka ko chu pi e chang e be ne be loy aya le ko won you know ka ke ko won le ke minister of ngadi dir won gunga yen jala disaster num challenge ma ka chi lu ga ryo jen za to other women won che diar ke jala yen ban junu Sudan abanda jor ga chit ka loy mana we will be afraid of you to lead us ka yen an bu mo jonko ala ngan wu ban ya ale baban message check Aluel has to be free Kumayan need to stop all this abuse kuna really government lazim bulu interfere achan ku bukan bulo kada bien solved yeah
Shukran Amela Bun for your perspective on that regard. So with that, welcome Sister Kaidi. Ana dera di Apuk Majal so she can weigh in, and then Ana Badig Majal Kaman Kaidi. Apuk, let me go ahead and give you your last word because you waited for quite some time. And then we'll move on from here.
Thank you. I want to make myself tea. No, everything that these women were saying were very interesting and very important as well. What I'll say is this, because I feel like I've already made my point at the start, so I'm not going to repeat myself again. Look, what I found from social media, you know, from a lot of Sudanese is that when an incident happens, we like to individualize it, or we like to use a little bit of discrimination, like, oh, because this person is from my place, even if they did something wrong, I'm going to protect them. And that's one of the biggest issues that we're experiencing in South Sudan right now, where we're always protecting the wrong thing. You know that what happened was wrong. You understand that it needs to be addressed. I said clearly from the start, I don't know what unfolded between Mayen and Aluel. No one knows. I don't know the story behind. I don't know what led to that incident. But what I am condemning is the act, because it's a criminal activity. In order for you, Barajalu stab the knife, okay, it means that you're intending to kill that person. That is your intention. And if this was in a country where the laws and regulations are being enforced, Mayen would have been arrested already and charged. Okay, some of us that live in Australia here, sometime, okay, when you go to court, you can say, yeah, I was upset. My emotions took over me, and that's the reason why I took a knife and stabbed someone. And the court is going to tell you, well, that's not an excuse, okay? And if you claim that you have any mental illness, and then doctors would have to intervene, okay, and do a proper assessment, or psychologist or whatever, there has to be a proper report that has to be provided to prove that this person has some form of a mental illness, and that's the reason why maybe they didn't intend. They were just because they're mine. So let's just be mindful. And our community are very judgmental. They're very judgmental in a sense that they are blind to the truth. And I think Sister Charles already mentioned that before. Okay, some of us here, when we come and speak about these things, it's not because we don't have things to do. It's Saturday for me right now. I've been sitting here for almost 2 hours. I could have been out there either doing my personal things or even like health related things, just go for exercise whatsoever. But here I am because I'm a concerned individual, and I don't want my community to be seen as a low, like we don't have humanity. I don't want us to be viewed as aggressive and violent people, because I don't want to believe that to be true. Okay, like Sister Cho said before, we come, as me being a Dinka, we have humanity. You being Equatorian or whatever you are as a human being, there's an instinct in your mind that makes you human. And that's the reason why you don't see people going around killing each other. Okay, and if it happens that there are people in our society that are not stable, they need to be provided with the right support. So what am I saying here? Can we just step back with this notion of always saying things that, oh, if someone like me or a Chol or anyone speak about these things, it's because we are feminists. This word feminism, I hate this word to the maximum because I feel like the word has been misunderstood. It's ridiculous. Addressing domestic violence or addressing anything that is wrong does not make you a feminist. It makes you a human being. And feminism, what is it? It's fighting for the rights of both sexes. A man can be a feminist. Anyone can be a feminist. It's just having a view, like, okay, everyone should have opportunity and access, equal opportunity to everything. Equal rights. That's what feminism is. But Junubin like to say things like, oh, whatever happens in Rome stays in Rome. Don't bring it here. We in South Sudan, the image that we're painting to the world is very scary. Domestic violence is a big thing, like I said before. It does not only happen in South Sudan. It's happening everywhere across the world. But my fear is the fact that people are using war as an excuse to say things like, oh, but we are traumatized. We're a very violent community. All we've known our whole life is just violence. Well, that's not true. I was brought up in a family household where I don't experience violence in any kind of way as a child. You understand? So I'm Sudanese, I've experienced war, but I'm not a violent person. So why do we try to use these things to justify and support poor behavior or criminal activity? This is clearly a criminal activity. If this was a country like Australia, Mayen would have been in jail straight away. I'm going to give you a story. There was an incident that happened with one of the ministers here in Australia where you know, a card actually get in a very wrong place. You understand? Abuse.
Misusing public funds.
He got in trouble because he's a minister. He's using public funds for the wrong reasons. So it's not different for Mayen.
Another example is the Minister of Health in UK.
Yeah.
Who had an affair with, I think, one of her secretary or something. He's a married man, so he had to resign immediately. When the thing got into the media, he resigned immediately, addressed the media, went home, packed his stuff, left the house because unless he gets out of house to resolve the issue with his marriage.
Yes. What baffles me is the arrogancy that comes with a lot of these men. Or we have this pride, you know. Even if you know that you did something wrong, you don't want to admit. Apology is very important. Okay, if you know that you've done something wrong, come out, apologize to the public. Okay, you don't even have to explain yourself. Just give a very simple apology and then do the right thing, resign, and leave the public office. But we have this thing of Buni or Shalut, that's it. It's one way or the other. I keep on saying this. There was one experience that there was one incident that I experienced when I was in South Sudan. To be honest, people are very aggressive there. Even I was scared. Like, I went there in 2015 and I have no intention of going back anymore because I've experienced certain instances because I was a woman. I was constantly being picked on because of the way I dress, because of the way I speak, because of the way I appeared. And in my head, I was like, what am I doing wrong? I'm not doing anything wrong. I actually thought I was being classy. I was being respectful. Little things like smiling. When you smile, people say things like, I
know.
When I went to Europe and Wanjang, this is what happened. At night time, I heard gunshots. Okay? So in the morning, I asked my mother, I'm like, did you hear the gunshot? It was quite close to us. Mama said, yeah. It was our neighbor. Okay? He was the one shooting his wife with a gun. Okay? Because apparently they had issues. So that right there is quite dangerous. Can you imagine using a weapon? That was an intention to kill her. Okay? Luckily, he was drunk. So he was not aiming. But I was very pissed off by the fact that someone is allowed to do that kind of thing in a community like that. Another thing too that I was afraid for my life, because imagine if you go out, you could have just been like, in the middle. So can we as Junubin, can we step back a little bit, please? I'm going to clarify myself here right now as a Pungjel Maror. I'm talking generally, and I am condemning domestic violence. If anyone goes and hosts a live video mentioning my name that I have spoken about Ken Mayen, I'm okay with it. Sometimes it's a relief, to be honest, for me. It's a relief that, I have been targeted, I have been tarnished, character assassination has been done, to the point where I'm accepting of it now. You see? To the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be intimidated not to speak about what is wrong in my community because individuals are not comfortable with it. I'm okay to be insulted. I'm okay to be abused on social media because at the end of the day, it doesn't affect me because that's not who I am. Okay, that's not who I am, and it doesn't shake me. But it could be silence because a lot of women now are becoming very afraid to come out and speak on social media because they're being targeted, they're being bullied on social media, their families are being dragged down. Young girls are afraid to come. Like half of the time, people are coming to me saying, "How do you deal with this?" But I'm okay. I'm accepting of it because number one, I know the sort of community I'm dealing with. Since I started coming on social media and expressing my views, I know I was going to be experiencing this kind of backlash, and it's okay. I'm accepting of it. For me to lose confidence because I'm afraid that I'm being led on Facebook or something will be said to my family. There's nothing that has not been said about me or my family on social media because of half of the time, it's because of my opinion. It's okay to disagree with someone, but you can do it intellectually. You can do it, okay? You can debate with someone intellectually. People need to stop being subjective about these things. They're very sensitive. Yes, I understand. Very sensitive. But can we stop talking about it? No, of course not. They need to be addressed. So rather than individualizing it and saying, oh, this person is from my place, so even if they did something wrong, I'm going to help them, I'm going to protect them, it's a no. Let's just say wrong is wrong, right is right. Okay? I'm going to stop here, John Kaur, and I'm just saying this to my brothers out there that are constantly saying things like, oh, this is about men versus women. No, it's not about men versus women. It's about humanity. Okay? Have a little bit of empathy. Because if that was you in the position, and unfortunately, there's some sisters of ours that are very vulnerable. Sister Joel and I know how to deal with these things, with any kind of abuse. For me as a Pook, if someone screams at me, I'll be so dramatic about it. Okay, because I know there's no need. You can just sit down and talk to me like an adult and tell me, Pook, this is what you did. I didn't like how you did it. Can you please change it as partners? And I'm more than happy. But if you come towards me aggressively, I'm going to be like, okay, like scared. But for some girls, it's normalized. Like Acho said before, it happens in communities. It happens to everyone. So to us, we think it's okay, but it's not okay. Any sort of abuse is not okay. And if you're a man and you're being abused, please speak up. Speak up. Don't feel like you cannot express yourself because you're a man. If you need to cry, cry. There's nothing wrong with it. You can be emotional. Who said men cannot be emotional? Everyone is emotional. So my message out to South Sudanese communities, please let's be mindful and let's be respectful when we're talking about these things, and let's be rational about it, reasonable. Let's not use let's not be subjective and emotional about these things, because at the end of the day, everyone is being affected by it, and I'm not targeting anyone. This is just a personal opinion. I apologize. I already spoke at the start, and I'm just giving this out because I know tomorrow we did this live video, but it's going to be on me and Achul.
Yeah.
Oh, but on social media, people
To add
swearing.
on, to add
So
on
I'm
that.
just going to put it out there, and I'm actually starting to develop this mindset now where I don't even care anymore, man. People can say whatever they want to say. You know, you don't know me at the end of the day. You don't know the sort of life that I live. You know, some of the people that we even deal with are people we've never met physically, face to face, never. Just Facebook. That's it. So let's be a respectable community. Thank you so much, John God, for inviting me. I truly appreciate it, and I'll be listening to my sisters as well, contributing. I'm going to leave the show, and I'll just be an audience. Thank you.
But I just
Okay.
wanted to say something. I think the team we again
Hold on, Sean. I'm sorry, Sean.
Yes.
Because we waited for quite some time. Actually, I have more people here, guesses. We want to give them an opportunity, come on. You can hold on. I will give you a chance. Thank you, Apuk, for your perspective. And Achol, you did a wonderful job as well. But I want to give chance to Kaidi because Kaidi waited for a long time. Kaidi, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. We want to create balance, and I see that the audience actually are blaming me. Are saying, Jonkor, you are not giving balance. You are not giving. You're supposed to give 4 minutes, 3 minutes,
For
and
that.
so forth. But Jama, I apologize. Oh, people are asking me. They said, "Why you don't invite us?" Men who are sending in asking me, I send them requests, but they don't appear here. I don't know why. You don't just say send me a request for just saying it, and you are not appearing. Maybe you want. We have that South Sudanese thing and ego. No, don't do that. You can be here and you can speak. So Kaidi, welcome, and I want to give you the podium and welcome Sister Oak as well. You waited for a long time, but let's go for Kaidi, and then after that I will give you the last word, Achol, and then I will go for Oak as well. Kaidi.
Okay, thank you, John, for very much for hosting this show, and thank you for having me as one of the speakers. Although I thought when I saw the ad, I thought the show was going to be tomorrow, but then all of a sudden I had to look at it again today to see the time. I realized that it was today. And I said, okay, I was somewhere, I've been listening, and I said, maybe I'll just come and say something small because I don't have much time to prepare. I was going to prepare myself for tomorrow. So that's one thing that I would like to advise you, John, for like issues of women, usually when they come up, we have to handle it like any other issue. So it shouldn't be a special thing and we have to have a special day because you have a different show tomorrow. I think it would have been a big show if you had canceled your political show tomorrow, and on your the main day and time of your show, you hosted this one. I'm quite sure we would be having a completely different kind of conversation and different people who would want to participate. Before I say what I want to say about the issue with Aluel Messi, I just want to appreciate the ladies who spoke before me. I'm quite sure maybe I heard about 55% of what you said, and then the rest, because I don't hear Dinka, I didn't hear it, especially Amel. I didn't make out anything from what she said. So I'm not going to go in some details because I'm quite sure you have said a lot, and I heard Wilma, she spoke extensively about what domestic violence is. What I would like to talk about actually is in this issue is a bit different because we can speak about what happened and tell stories about so many other people who the same thing happened to. But I want to speak about the mentality of South Sudanese men when it comes to marriage. How do we understand marriage? Because what is happening is not happening because of anything, but it's the way that we understand. Once you marry a woman, you think that a man thinks that she belongs to me, then I can do whatever I like with her. But we have to understand that marriage is a social contract. So it is something that somebody, I think it was Wilma who mentioned that both of you are partners in that marriage. So it's not that you're my boss and I have to be inferior to you, but no, we are equal partners in this, and we make our decisions based on the partnership that we are in. However, there's some individual decisions nobody can have a say on it. I heard Brother John Corey was saying when Peter Mayen met Aluel Messi, she was playing football, so why won't he accept her as a football player? But what I would like to say is the life of a woman is her life. If I'm married to a man, even if I wasn't like doing anything, one day in my life, if I decide I want to go play football, then it's my decision. So it doesn't matter whether you find me doing this or that. It doesn't matter. This is a decision that it's me. I have to take it. Like the same thing, you take your own decision about your job, your profession, whatever you want to do. So also I have that right to take that decision. Maybe when you married me, I was like doing nothing. I was staying at home, and then all of a sudden I want to go there and play football. So that's okay. It's my decision. So it doesn't have any relationship whether you're doing it before marriage or you decided to do after marriage. This is my life. We have to understand one thing, because we are trying to look at what type of person is Peter Mayen. I don't want to speak about him personally, but I want to speak generally about abusers. Like the men who abuse women, usually they have an issue. They have a problem. They're weak. And to feel that they're strong, then that's where they go. They start abusing their wives at home. They start abusing their own family because there's something out there that they cannot deal with. So they come and deal with it to get out their anger at home. The issue of Aluel Messi, the first time when she was playing a game and the same guy came and shot guns in the air and so that she gets out of the field. That issue, I'm quite sure, was addressed widely, and even FIFA had issued a statement towards that. And I'm quite sure from that time, this minister, he's facing a lot of issues regarding to his behavior. And what he's doing now, he's trying to say, okay, Sababda Filania, this is my wife, she's the reason. That's why he's trying to go back and hurt her because of what he is experiencing. I don't know where, but somewhere in public. So I think that's what I'm seeing. As South Sudanese, no, before I go to ask how do we address this issue, yeah, I wanna add something to Sister Apuk when she talked about feminism, because she mentioned that the women who came and spoke here, they will be like depicted as they're speaking because they're feminists. And she talked why she's speaking. Anybody, a human being, can speak. And there's something that we as South Sudanese, we don't understand about feminism, because feminism is about rights. You're fighting for rights, and you're not fighting for rights of women only, like you mentioned. You're fighting for the rights of men. You're fighting for the rights of other minorities. You fight for the rights of LGBT. If you don't fight for the rights of LGBT, please don't come up here and say, or anywhere and say I'm a feminist, because these people have rights. And if you don't want to respect their rights, why are you asking other people to respect your rights as a woman? If you're not Black and you don't address you don't fight for the rights of Black people, you're not a feminist. So feminism is not just about women talking. No, feminism is an ideology. And I think most of us, we don't understand what feminism is. And we just think that any woman who's speaking. And we're forgetting that some women are even putting us in a lot more suffering than men themselves. So when we come back to address the issue, of course, like domestic violence is not new to South Sudanese. It's not new in South Sudan. It has been happening. It happened a lot. So many women are suffering. And people are trying to address it individually. However, some cases like my other colleagues mentioned, some of them, like this is a high profile thing, like Dinganya is this well-known singer. What do you call him? Peter Mayen is a minister, and not only just any other minister. Of course, people see that like humanitarian affairs and disaster management. So this should be a minister who's trying to stop people from getting hurt rather than hurting people. So we have to address when we're addressing it. Let us address it as South Sudanese. I know, Jonkar, I was listening at the beginning of your show, and a lot of people are talking about Dinka and no Dinka. Yeah, when I got in your show, and like you already started, but then I heard like, okay, anybody wants to speak up in Dinka, let them. So I was like, oh, maybe this show is supposed to be for the Dinka community alone. That's why I was like, okay, let me just listen, because somebody was talking in English at that time. So this is an issue for all the community. It's not only that maybe Mayen and Aluel are Dinka, yes, and maybe people are talking about Warab because Gogrial because he's from Gogrial. However, this is an issue that is happening all over South Sudan.
Exactly, Kaidi. And this is what we are telling people. Yeah, Jama, if something happened in Wow, and in Fertit community, it doesn't mean that all Fertit community are bad. So people who always like to, to regionalize and make it just a region or a tribe or a clan, this I disagree with these people 100%, because I don't know what they represent. Yani, بس عشان في مشكلة زول Mayen Majongdit is from Gogrial, خلاص نقول ناس Gogrial كعبي. No, why not? Yeah. Why would you say that? How many people bad from Awul? How many people bad from Gogrial? How many people bad from Juba? There are so many everywhere. But these people, I think they have a narrow-minded, and that's what I see them, because you should not generalize all the entire community. This is what it's all about. I have said this many times in my show here. When people say, oh, this community is bad, or this people is bad because of one person. How many times I criticize President Kiir, and when people say that, oh, Dinka are bad, I disagree with them, because President being bad, it doesn't make all the Dinka bad. So Peter Mayen Majongdit being bad and he's a disaster, not a disaster management. It doesn't make people of Gogrial bad, actually. It's him as individual. And people need to understand that, So go ahead, Kaidi.
Yeah, and what I was trying to say also is that because the diversity of the hosts, the guests also, that's why some people felt that, okay, why is it only these girls, and you're trying to explain this as the people who responded to me. And I think maybe you did not extend the invitation widely, because usually you send me, and this time you did not. And then plus speaking in the language, like I did not benefit from so many important things that they said because I couldn't understand the language and there's no translation. Like I cannot come here and start speaking in Ndogo because I said I want my Ndogo people to know, while you don't understand. So like if people are listening, it's good. Like we can use English, Arabic, mix it, and then or maybe use some translation. It would be great. So the other thing is like the fact that all of us here are women, of course. And then this is not an issue that is concerning women only. I think if we don't include men in these discussions, the cycle of violence will not end, because there are men, like Apuk said, men, they can also be feminists. You don't have to be a woman to be a feminist. However, there's some men who would understand also why are we saying that there's why are women being targeted? They can speak to that, so that, and it will make other men understand, or maybe it can make somebody who doesn't accept our views also accept. So we need to have men and women speak, and then we'll say, okay, this is a show for everybody and not only women. So now the issue that it's a bad thing that happened to Aluel, and it's bad whatever is happening to a lot of women in South Sudan. However, I see a lot of opportunity in it as well, because yes, bad things happen, but there's an opportunity to make things better. And this is an opportunity for women now to think properly how would they want to make the change. And the change is not, I was in some groups and I've been writing to people, guys, it's not about just like Peter Mayen being removed as a minister. It's not just about him, no. What after he was removed? What's going to happen? So what about somebody, a man who is not a minister, will not feel that there's a problem if he abuses his wife? So it's not about only removing him from office. It's about, okay, yes, we have to do that, but then we need some changes. We need some laws for violence against women, domestic violence. We don't want to make this issue because Aluel is a football player, and then Peter Mayen is a minister, and then it has to be solved because of these two people. No, I think Aluel represents a lot of women in South Sudan who are going through a lot of things. We might not have heard all their stories. However, like I said, this is an opportunity for us to put things right. And if we don't put it right now, and we're just calling that Mayen be removed as a minister, so once it's removed, they can bring another man. And what is that man going to do? We don't know. And what about the other women who are suffering silently because their husbands are not ministers, their husbands are not governors? We don't know what's happening with them. So we also have to think that this thing is like, sometimes this violence is almost like, it looks like organized, because it is happening, when it's happening in a massive way, well, this is just like an organized crime. And this is an organized crime against women. Like, you do whatever you like with your wife. And we have to look why. Some people are saying maybe because of the dowry. If it's the dowry, well, let us sit down and discuss what is it about the dowry. Should we abolish the dowry? Should we say what were the rules when our ancestors put that there should be a dowry? Was it because you're taking a woman as a slave? I don't think so. So we have to also, we don't want to just sit and talk and say this happened and that happened and this is going to happen. No, we have to say, okay, how do we work towards stopping the abuse from continuing? And I had just, the only thing that I understood from Amel is she was asking about the government of Warab. Sometimes when we speak in here, we forget that, of course, we want the law to take its course. When the course of the law is very long. First of all, let's understand that this guy is a minister, national minister, okay? So he has immunity. So when a crime happens, the police has to be involved and all that. And with him, without the immunity taken away from him, I don't think the police can interfere. And we all understand that we had an ambassador, even if we live here in the Western countries, we had an ambassador who, I think he went to a nightclub or he went to a bar, he abused someone, and then he just took off. But people know who that person was, even the government. But because he's an ambassador, he has immunity. Not even the president of the US could do anything about him. So where should the pressure be? Where should we direct our pressure so that that immunity is removed and then the law can take its course? Of course, the noise we are making, it's important. We have to continue making the noise. We have to think of other ways of making it bigger than just us. We know the FIFA is involved before they send a statement. How do we get FIFA involved? How do we get other organizations involved? And it's not only because of that, but then we have to make sure that there are laws that protect women in South Sudan. So this is my little bit here that I can say. I'm just gonna listen to my sisters and.
Well, Kaidi, thank you so much for coming on and adding your perspective. That make big difference, and that's why we want to get perspective from everyone, Ajama, I send links. I send link to Madudayu. It looked like you have two accounts. Actually, I've been sending link to your old one. And now you created another one with Martin Ayu, and that's what I see. And this new one is not accepting, but the old one, I sent 3. Can you please come with the old account, the one that say Martin Madudayu? And then from there, I think you can make your perspective. Oh, welcome. I know I've seen that. So I want to give you that opportunity to weigh in. Gul Kalam Bitak. And then we move on. We bajalin. And then she can conclude. And then I left with you and others who will come in. Malish, Go ahead, Ashol.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm an appointment in 40 minutes. And COVID vaccine, so.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
Madam, I will So I will just wrap it up. I went to look up and die anyway. I'll watch while I'm driving and to get and will back up. Very, very important points. Many people have spoken very, very well, and I think we've weighed in most of the most important things that we were supposed to talk about in this issue. For me to conclude, I would like to say that, and I've put in a comment there, that a society that holds on to its conservative ideologies, because when we talk about culture, society, South Sudanese, we're not going to say that we are fully educated or we are fully liberated, all those kind of things. No, there is a lot of people that are illiterate in our community, but we are very illiterate. And I'm not saying this to undermine people that PhD is something when they can daily. Because even Chiang Monjang but when we've been it's not allowed. It's not allowed for you to kill your wife, it's not allowed for you to bash your wife to an extent. I want to be enough. Exchange for you. When you marry a woman, it's not an exchange for you to go and treat her the way you would want to treat her as not human being. And that is why Chiang Monjang in Atinya Churora Young by Pandi, quite by Pandin, they have a right to be a dombe to buy. You couldn't young and new back, and things like that. It happens. I think so. Marriage is not an exchange for you to be abused. So I do strongly condemn. I strongly condemn what has happened. I strongly condemn what Peter Mayen Majongdit has done, and I hope that he understands right now. If he's the kind of person that weighs in the social media comments or remarks, I hope he will understand that what he has done is wrong. He always has a choice to do the right thing. The right thing is not to abuse his wife or abuse any other female in regard for that matter. Because I believe so even the thing that Blue abused today, we will still have to weigh into this. You also need to understand that as much as we are speaking about this, it's not in particular for him. These are happening a lot. Domestic violence is widespread. It's a universal problem. It's a universal concern. Abuse all over the world and in almost every culture. So it's a concern for South Sudan to actually look into it. And at whatever level, family level, Payam level, or state level, and in the national level as well, to know that this is an urgent matter that needs to be looked into, that women have the right to life, women have the right to be treated fairly and with justice and things like that. Everyone has the human right of justice. The views of our society, like I say, ideologies, so we hold on to them. So if we come out here and talk about these things, when it can be Balega Pugun, I'm not sure if she's still watching, can we Balega Pug, because the Pug has really, really made points on why we receive a backlash after this. Live, Lad Marqua, Lad Mirqua, they open Ben, and all those kind of things could happen. In last year. That's another form of people being intimidated. People intimidate people. People will want to silence us because
she's listening.
It's something that is important. It's something that suppresses women in the society. So some individuals who are actually, I always term these people weak men, because a very strong man is not supposed to suppress a woman's voice. So now you're a strong man out there, then you have to give your wife his right, knowing that you would want your daughter to have the same rights that you would give your wife. You would want your nieces to also have those rights that we treat fairly and in the right way. So I know it's weak men or they are and all these kind of things. Like a Pug said, and I like how a Pug said, a Pug is very brave, a Pug is very ambitious. What you do discourage in so many ways, they like a bit community turn because a Pug more I think we walk because we don't care what a better or Tiago or a better or Polo or better check with you. But to her in a Pug, it becomes a bit of a issue to her because they like a bit. But like she said, she's standing firm, she will stay strong, she will keep saying. And I would like to say, in a Pug, you need to understand there is no way in the community or in the earliest days, min zaman Greek, min zaman English, min zaman whatever. All societies brought changes like this. you will always face a backlash. You will always face resistance because people don't like change. People are used to that same thing. I want to talk a cake, so now I can get either they will not accept it and they will fight it by any means. But in the end of the day, people will realize that. So it will go down in history that there were people that used to talk about domestic violence. Laws are established in South Sudan, they are protected. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Kalibalo bring into justice beyond mahakama lakum because naga tiga tin pole naga machar pen whether wala ti wala mit. It's not right thing. That thing. When we come to feminism as well, I believe everything. I to feminism these days. We talk about marriages, you're a feminist. Talk about divorce, you're a feminist. Talk about domestic, you're a feminist. Talk about anything, we talk. I'm being labeled as a feminist. I'm a feminist, but because I stand up for the rights of women, I support the rights of women. I support the rights of a girl child. Like every little girl deserves to go to education. Every little girl has the right. Those that has earned as labels like we are feminists. Feminism. I have 5 daughters. I have nieces. So it's my human right and it's my obligation to actually establish a society. When you are young, you will open bad and can be young. My just one kay job in Yakabro and Kim because mania ever from you know, I can go in a period that's controlling her lifestyle or whatever she chooses, however way she chooses to live her life. For example, they pull out of school, but I cannot accept that. Getting Wakiwa and a kilo accept wow and you walk school. Marco school the same way because they thought pure mania, I can run, pure mania, getting. So feminism, label in these days, we just get labeled every now and then, but we're not going to stop because we are here to do the right thing. We've also said before that abuse can happen to men, it can happen to women. It's the ratio of how much it happened to men and women is the difference. Because in women, abuse is a way higher than it happened to men. Like we said, there is differences between men and women. Men are economically powerful. Men are masculine build. Tigaman butor ke moja ye low of power kunet. Tiga real won't be torque much. Getting illa kubroja la in different forms. So in the end of the day, we still need to understand there are differences between man and a woman. And these differences are power shift. Power shift, men become more powerful than women are. And in all over the world right now, people are still fighting for the rights of women, and people are still, even the men, the role, they have rights that have to be fought for them as well. And that's why feminism comes into feminism is not just for women. Feminism also fights for the rights of men. Because women, for example, there one a young maternity leave. A young maternity leave from work to go and stay home to look after her baby. But right now, because of the laws have changed and equality is coming in, equality underpinning, which includes feminism as well, a young maternity leave. You will have a leave to go and stay home. Go and bond with your child. Go and be there to support your wife. So these are the rights that are coming in there. That right. But now even men are being given that rights as well. So like a book mentioned as well, let's not forget that rule. If you guys have a right, you also have the right to come and speak about it. Come and speak about whatever you think. Everywhere, even para airtan man, mazlumin ko reality iman tek dia realya. So ko ayin ya ngong ka jal tak na ke kaden karam la tie ginup la yo kiden tin la la madin. Nati munyang tik tem ko reality ban reality ko power we now.
Actually on that regard, it's not true. Why I said it's not true. If you don't want to work and then you are weak. But when you work, actually, you make money. It has something to do with financial aspect. Like when you go to work and make money, actually, you still can maintain that you are stronger.
But that is the problem here. The problem here, Kadang Jonkor, is not even where we come as that. Even the fact that Tixatu was real, Biala Louis, one can end the day in the Wika or Kachimo Betila, Moja and a Koja and Dian. I should all intimidate some men want women to be there because Quancho Moja and Koja and Dian, Moja and Clay and I know Moja and Gloria. Like Kinaman, we own our car, we go our own way, not on Mojan, and yin that too. And you know, we'll be in color, whatever. Color, no, well, okay, I'm more one to Luya Color, Jalaba Luka Kunko. So even rules feel intimidated that they cannot control women anymore because in reality, nature of men and women is that men are created in such a way that they must have control and exert their power over women. But now that economically
not created, but the talim. Cultural,
they've been molded.
from cultural perspective, that's what make them that way. American right now, you as a munya Biden, young do dip color panakim, made push, you feel the pain, you know what it takes and made the diet, right?
Yeah.
You see them a lot and more. Like in America, they don't do that because they know, or in Australia, they know how hard it is. You know,
yeah,
is not easy. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the power shift, men, if you were a smart man, you were very smart, who does not want to exert your power or control, you will use it to your advantage. Because now, a bank 1,500 paycheck in the end of the month. We need 1,500 paycheck in the end. 1,500 plus, that is 3,000. The man will be a loony waro. The kiro Korea, ila be ya ni a pingren ko en lu ko lo ku ti ke wi bilang na la ba den ko pok en kene ko wer getting. So I'm just saying this as a thing that because even Panayer and Roar are becoming actually a silence because lang dia ko so to Japan are using that power big ka ro ken abdol ko wala kala far ya ko we ga lo ba ita ku ja gan chatte getting. So you rosa ya ka yo we ga nen ka de jor we ben ka ben ba wan man jama ba ru bu ping ngo jor we ga ya ku bu ben javi, you know. So this is a very, very important topic in domestic violence. And I believe in Jonkur, this is not even enough time. And it's good that we started this conversation today. And I hope as much as we put it aside, we also want to make sure that the conversation doesn't stop here. The conversation has to continue. And as you've created this platform, I believe we should always, either once a month or once every 2 months, to bring such critical topics and come and talk about. We can talk about them in divorce. We talk about in domestic violence. We can talk about the power shift between male and female, which are law these days. We can talk about the culture shock itself, because culture shock is another issue. Culture actually mix up and we don't even understand which culture to follow. So how can we then balance both things and bring it together? So I will just wrap it up. I'm grateful for today, and I'm grateful for everybody else that's been watching and all your comments. I took a team. Any particular comment, when you go direct to me.
Yeah,
mute. Somebody mute themselves. So any particular question when you
Yeah, go ahead. For the line.
Yes, so to any particular thing today, especially from me, everything I've said here is really my opinion. I have based a few things on the facts or maybe life experiences that I've touched on. Like I said, one can Peter Mayen Majongdit condemn a chicken go real chicken approve a chicken warap. The country of Sudan is going on everywhere, it's happening widespread. Long the Arcocho Mashakal Ken Pingman because that Ache Akitiak because Mayen Majongdit. The case that I are one check a ping, watch a roll, check a ping. The king can now particularly focus on such people as Peter Mayen Majong because we expect him to do the right thing because you never buy. Now, a bunch of batching when it came for Bia, look at a choke. We knew quite a lot by and king could acquire and the king is not a personal problem, it's not a family issue. A chicken warabero, and he does not own a well. A child wealthy, a work doesn't mean a couple of time road today, which you are way doesn't work like that. this humanitarian issue. So yeah, now we got a lady and I have an appointment and I'll die. Peter, if there is any comments, I will make my comments and thank you.
Joel Maduring, so phenomenal. Thank you so much for coming in and adding that great perspective. It's always good to have you. And awesome. We have learned a lot, and our viewers, they have learned a lot from you too. So keep coming, Joel. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Madam Aung Deng Ahlan Beg, thank you for being patient and waiting in the pay. So now I want to give you this opportunity, Commander Shanin. Binang kudun well, lana kachil luoika are too much, you know. Ana gutam well, I said it, you know. I want to give chance to people, you know, to express themselves in a language that they feel comfortable to express themselves. Doesn't mean that I'm dictating. Doesn't mean that we should force everybody to speak English or Arabic, because this matter, we need people to speak. So, Risala Dashan Yasal. So, Madam Auk, go ahead. Fadal.
Yeah, penguin.
Yes, clearly.
Okay. Yeah, chamot ben win
General. Yeah.
Okay. Kala? Yeah, kaya ping kala?
Yes.
Okay. I chamot ben with South Sudan. I with 64 Gabila. We I chamot ben. Thank you, John Cor. And I get ben show do. But I'm not get bay. And I get on my young and I can run bay when I get run. Yeah. So, cái cha bay ya con, e kan yan dien cho la luel, e ni cha bay, o cái dien bien, e ko ba, ban jam, e tong English luel, you have to speak up if you see something. Ayan cái dien jating, ala ba jam tin, cái dua ja pa ya chu ting, social media ten cái kan ban dal University Sudan. Na jam ko tini, kal luel wi chu wayat. Akuma, ya community ya akuma. Family ya akuma. Kulo ora the family. Usha akuma jilatin. Ke ya family, usha family. Kulo ora community, usha akuma jilatin. Ka community. Kana nang chuti, ko wi bi no Sudan menang tagayir or menang shen. Ke yen ke o gam la we have a chan no Sudan bichet dola air te chite mai dia. E wi kubu majo na chi wi ko bugo ganun wana la asan bi wo ga ma na yu ke ra ngun tin na wi tu ji tiang de ke no de ma kan ye no ku yo ganun wana la le buti wo ga sa wa ni biya e lo ke culture kuna culture bo wa tunen ko what kind of culture bi di ar ginu Sudan ding la te ade yan entity ru ke dien lo e ti ben yes e ma sig ben yu ba toy then until when Majongdit or when Majok or whatever. Come back at the pin. What you think mean that I get? A child will you go, what you get a little chin on the airway, Chito, Chipil, a chummy. Kakuma, Rosala de la Kuma. What you warap, good of warap. A little wicked choke. Na di chi piren be ku niar bitaw nukta tok tending na wo chuloy akatre ye nukta tok bi akuma bi tin den until brana de ben nyai bu dog bai until ma cha ko ka ye halu bu ba ben ma si den ba ben ya anyir ka alu ya gana chati achitia woni Quran ya era un dit walwe la ko hal fir alwel bet asada yar alle bata miyo de na wona pin
Hi, bata miyo de jay. Go ahead. Fadal.
Kayar min kan alwel ay over acha yen ben du ko ben kon ta counseling acha ngom de itat already anu pai chi nya ku pai chi na lu abuse tian mana ci ben la tine ci riya wulen wono loy way bi damba e ngi na ci wut ci ngwan ka bu jalo bi ati la mu nyandi la nyandi ci te yegi ngone ci kan bini la mukya wulen wono loy wa ati to en kin mati akiko cha pol bu ko na ngwan yer pi ci ba lo kulu alwel higa wagu adi so wo kana lwele wo bra nyir chien tuka nyir junubin we ko ikat ba ring wazir chok we ga ring ngadi dit chok we nyir tuka lazim ba ko yera na wi moinde ke wujiri den ye wujiri ne na chi liya kaman ku we mar kwa we ko we nang nit ku war woni nang nit chi me ga woilo e chi liya kala ka bang mu ku tiat ka dong e liya jen ku ye kay in ser bang dong be kula ye mundi bila lut no diari wala lut no somewhere be me no liel ku go to asa nyal tin ku to ben nga ni dai rol di rana ci koñ rana to liaj rana yinda ka jwa ya churu loy kwa chuka tiki social media yen abusing kan ya no you know mi awudi ya kunyir a ci ka loy abuse different way rana la tina pe mi kuriel buke biya tindere la ko mu ko ci jal mi buke ga mu gan kan ayo ku niar bitem ko abuse ray kirkan o ginubi ta wi o gel ginubi Sudan ci ben be ku yeka bu du culture dan ginubi ko duk na wi ku bu julu Sudan bu loy bu kanga be bu ka war ka ku chol nagati ku nag mo a wi bu ka nyaay anu wo ga sa te le pa na le na pan la pi miaga ku we rul ku ki we tin kana la tin ku nang tik neng power ka le mo no anytime te chen we tin because kana che yi ken ganun a wi ku bi julu Sudan kuma julu Sudan bu god a che yi na era won na real high level ka yin bu mo tan tin wona ba lu abuse ashan yin nang power bara no ko ku achin ken moñ aliu bara di ku cho moñ bila da ka bu dial yo bara no ku cho moñ bila da abro dial yo pin nom tan ran ma chara che moñ ka masaj dikin kala tana ku ma Junub Sudan you have ba law ba loy tan dia ku tan Iran ashan baran be free instead benang ko lu abuse ta mini dia ku donka na ge ko jamala which way yatin like in family they know his family kichi ben social media tingi chol family the man in lawyer nen e lawyer ngi e randi da kuma ko ci baye ger ke lazim ko jamtin kina le bulu denial ko kina le bulu yogala ala kallat ku bibiya lere je koy nok e kam ko je laten ko pir ko mit so kana che kriya yo masi diengen e kiya lwel tana kuma Junub Sudan yin jonko ko ki adi jito ko we ga bapol because kana yana sa min wakol wala kulan a cha yi difference ashan ku bala live da ni ko jam ko lon ko cha won mar ba jam zeda yani jam da ba tek tok balwel kana is not right ko loy won ma jong nit kan ache mir anang kan tiel wel anang something behind anu mo nya chela tin gidang moji patu ku bela tin ku ni ku dom ye za du la nya ku du te ki yen sababa wel kin dang men moji ma dinga wul yi nya ya wel tiang du kan ka wel za du ke bana la murta ashi jala lu abuse cousin yen era ding no ko ma ding ko ka jola gura wel so kede ngo gana mutina ku ma wara ba ya ku lela la yi tona lwel ina kuma warap bu ko ya lwel bi ko lwel yu gichin ka ya kuma warap en moksul ka lwel ku shukuru ku yan jito
Okay, but I'm hoping the lady pay contribution to Martin. It's good to have you on the program. Shukran. You know, like you for late, come on. Yeah, with that, come on, Ustaza Bunyor, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. So I don't know how that's going to be possible for them to come in. Ustaza Bunyor, welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. There a big opportunity. Anna, I posted the link. I post the link there. I use all there. Hatta my brother here, who Julius nta ka dugula na madara jibo la link guide na link guide na kana madu public link map link tan biga mai nai link is solution I done. Yeah, link is the public. If you wanted to come, you can come. You can click on the link. You don't hear me, Bimana. You have some issues, Sister Abung Yor. Maybe network is not good, you know. So go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, it looked like there is a problem with network, Ustaz Abungyor and Ustaz Julius. The link is down here below the screen. Actually, you can click and follow through. The link is no longer private. The link is no longer private. The link is on the public, Ajama. Azula Deriji. Anyone that wanted to come to weigh in, you have that opportunity to go ahead and click the link and come. Okay? Lana Finas Gain Gule intermediate link guide. Right? Link guide, Republic. Okay, I see you, Hakim. Welcome. And you can go ahead and weigh in as well. Fadali Hakim.
Okay, Sukran Jonko, Sukran Anaganjai and Sokol Gabusia, and the topic is very excited. This topic is very tough, but it's good to discuss. I appreciate our sisters who put in, and I want to tell people, you know, our sisters try to express their feelings root of Monjang because some people can get the message. We cannot take it personally, you know, because sometimes people are comfortable. They want to speak on the dialect so others can hear. But what I want to say here, Jonkor, this domestic violence never happened with this guy. A lot of women suffer, okay? Just the difference because the guy is the minister. But our women are suffering all over. So this thing needs to be put in law. It's not about Peter Mayen. It's about our system, our country is going through. A lot of women are going through this domestic violence. Okay? So we cannot make the topic just because of Mayen, because the guy is a public figure, but the entire country is suffering through this domestic violence. The entire women are suffering through it, you know? And even men too. Some men are suffering through this domestic violence. You know? We cannot just come here because of Peter Mayen. We need to generalize the entire country need to change. We have some women are suffering because they're not public figure. So who can speak on behalf of them? We need to speak in general. Our women are suffering. I know the entire Africa, but let's focus about South Sudan. This thing need to be put in law. There's nobody above the law, even though we are a prime minister. Doesn't matter because our culture plays a big role too. When we talk about our culture, our women, we don't respect them like we respect women in the first world. So we will never compare ourselves with Junub laws. In America, in Canada, Australia, our women now have rights. That's why you see a lot of women are coming out to speak because they have a freedom of speech, freedom of women. So our country have a long way to go so that we can compare the laws here and the laws back home. So we have a long way to go. I will never talk much. Let's put it just domestic violence against anybody is not acceptable. Regardless if you are in the higher profile, because some people, they're not working in the government. They're suffering. And mostly our mentality as a man, this dowry is a problem. We need to talk about this dowry. I paid 300 cows. I paid 10 goats. And then my wife left me. My wife doesn't want to listen to me. I will use that against her. And then my wife will run home to his family will bring her back to me. You know what I'm saying? The family received the dowry. So some women are victims because they're not ready for love. Family forced them to get married. Okay? There's no love there. Because the family needs to get the dowry. When they get the dowry, if the lady complain, my man is not good, even the family will bring their woman back to the husband. Go back. Go back. So I would like us to understand that forcing marriage, arranging marriage, that's why it's causing this problem. You arrange a marriage for Hakim in America. I don't know this girl how does she look like. Background check. I want to check my wife background. How's the family doing? How's the father? How's the mother? And then the wife have to check my background too. She have to make sure Hakim family is good. And then if we have problem in the house, I bring my family, he brings family, we settle down. Counseling cannot work. Counseling is wasting money. Because a human being like you is the one going to counsel you. Why cannot we counsel ourselves? You are just putting the money there. It's inside our heart. We can solve our own problems. Through mediator of the families. If the marriage is well successful between me and you, we understand each other. But if I just go get a wife, I never see the wife, I don't know the family. And now if the woman just come and fill out, I don't want you, I pay 200,000, I'll get mad. Don't go. You want to leave me for what? I paid all right. So I will end up here, brother. The topic is very good for all of us South Sudanese. It's not only for Peter Mayen. It's not only for Monjang. This violence is all over. Every tribe is going through this violence.
Yes.
It's not only for Monjang.
Shukran.
Even Equatoria and where the whole tribe are going through this violence. Our women, especially I agree, women are the one facing a lot of violence because the percentage. But some women too, they are very abused to men. You took the money from the man, you eat the money, you run away. The men get upset, and then the violence starts. Don't take somebody money, even not ready for marriage, even not ready for love. Don't confuse the man. I will love you, I'll be with you. You eat my money, why run away?
Yeah.
This is the problem here. Be ready and face the consequences. Don't cheat. Those men are working so hard, they're sweating. Some men, they got no heart, Jonko. They will lose control. Look you. You're a very brave man. You went through a lot. Even me, I went through a lot. I lose a lot, but you have to be humble. So some men cannot take care of that. They will go through violence automatically. I lose money, I lose my daughter, and then you still walking around, and then things will happen. So we need to agree, disagree. Love is love. You go by your own. Look that lady by your eyes. Background check. Is good. But this intermarriage, this you get your wife from, you're in America, you get a wife in Juba, you never see the wife, and tomorrow you bring the wife here, the wife become crazy. So anyway, thank you so much. I will end up here. The show is good.
Thank you, Hakim. Thank you for coming on and adding your opinion as well.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let me go ahead here and add another.
Anyway, I'll call you at the time I told you later.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you settle? Can you sit down? Talk to us. We want to hear from you, Manut.
Anyway, I was sitting outside Jonkor.
Okay.
And I was expecting that you're going to call me anyway.
Great.
Okay.
So now we want to hear from you, Brother Manut. We have been talking a lot, so we want to get your perspective as well. Fadal.
Number one is thank you so much for that these concernings, what are incident happening in South Sudan. I thank you for that to bring other attention. Very good. And I thank our sisters that are the talkings, which we have more dedicating girls, very open-minded girls, because this community needs educations.
Yes.
Not put them by the force. That is your first time to get this find the level, okay? What we need, the culture in the side, and how we get out in the culture. That we have to think, but not by force. We push it little by little until everybody learn. I see to our sister that they have been talking. That is really good, and I appreciate them. Appreciating them, there is something calling motivations. I was not supposed to come in this show. And I was not to come to this something. Because these girls attract to me to come to this show.
Good.
Okay? That is reality. I've been here in the US too. I'm watching you guys. There's something you guys talking, changes. Not my concern. He's coming, okay. He's not coming, it's okay. If my brother talking there, the country do this is fine. I'm not hating and I'm not rejecting. You guys can do whatever you guys do. Okay? And I'm watching you guys. There's nothing attracting me. I'm not going to talk. Because this show here attracting me. Because it's part of education, our people need educated. Better educating, plus the culture. And the culture, how we can take the culture away. That is very important.
We don't want to take the culture away, but
no, that's what I'm saying. Okay, we need to, that's what I'm saying. We don't need to take a culture away, but we need educating them. But that culture will drop a little by little until we're getting a destination. Becoming to the abuse the domestic violence, which is we know for the whole world, everywhere. It depends to you. The only thing painful is our brothers. That is very painful. Why? The position you're holding in is hold him down. You cannot do the actions. It's wrong. Okay? It's completely wrong. We mean you guys are sitting here to give that message to our government. To take a little bit actions, which is good. I appreciate that side. Okay? If coming to our leaders, our ladies, my message going direct to our ladies. The respect should be there. Respect should be there. Other men. We are here in the West, and if all the men, they are all in the jail because they are abusing them. They don't respect their men. Very important. Now, becoming the Southern Sudanese now, and this is now not our culture, because your mom and your dad raised you up in that kind of culture. At the same time, there's a little, the give and call, thank you, not a dowry, not calling you guys, putting it wrong way, saying that we buy it, we're buying the lady. They know, but human being can be buy. They call appreciations, because you, Jonkor, you have a daughter, and I have my son, and then they go to meet. I will give you a little bit because thank you, you raised up the daughter to me. That's the way it is. That is not because you're buying somebody. That's completely totally wrong. This is called appreciation. You're appreciating people who raise up the girls to you. That is the way we can put it on it. Not buying somebody. Okay, our sisters. Our sister, that message is going. This message going to our sister now, because sisters, your dad and your mom, and your dad say you guys cannot do this. Why you don't understand it over there? Your husband telling you don't go outside to leave the children in the house alone. Why you don't listen to that? That is where the violence will come from. That way where the violence come from. And the man respecting that is forgot. He forgot that this woman, you are not.
Manut.
Yes.
Do you think what Manut, what the Peter Mayen Majongdit did, is it a wrong thing or right thing?
In another word, is wrong, and another word is we don't know the more detail that why he's doing that.
No,
okay.
Like
to me, without knowing the more detail. Okay, without knowing the more detail, I would say it's wrong.
Manu, regardless,
yes,
whether his wife didn't listen to him, or whether there is misunderstanding, does he have a right?
No. That's what I'm telling you. No, because that you will not do that. That kind of temper. That's why you guys talking a lot of what I'm thanking our sisters. Because even we're talking right now, our sisters, they already doing everything. They say this guy.
Manu, what is your advice now? What is your advice?
My advice is this. My advice.
Because people who commit such a thing in the community, what your advice?
Okay. Our advice is this. Then I did advice to the kind of man will take the kind of action, right? That's the way it is. We are advising the old man now and the sisters. That's why I'm going through to. If they becoming the what Maria, name it is, taking that kind of action is completely wrong. This is your mother, this is your wife, and you take that kind of action is completely wrong. You cannot bring her here to kill it. It's completely wrong. Okay, I'm going to advise to everybody that the calling, we need to respect each other. And everybody should be giving the right. And they want to say, Apuk said, and what his name, Achol say, every violence, domestic violence, it comes a different way around. They come a different way around. What we know is there is a temper hunger. The temper hunger. Let us reduce it. Let us reduce it a little bit. Going to the council is not in Junub right now. What do you do? Because you need to walk away. Walk away. Don't using your power. You are ministers and all those things. You don't let nobody. Completely wrong. because there is no minister in the house. There is no minister in your family.
Correct.
There is no minister in the house.
Yes.
We don't care for who you are. Even the Apuk saying already, or a child, they say that even Kir Mayadi, oh no, the sister Amel, even Kir Mayadi, and he abusing his wife in the front of everybody. Everybody will jump in. Okay, everybody will jump in. I'm not supposed to talk anyway, because these three ladies, they say everything. They say everything, and we need to learn one another. And your power, are you a commander? Are you president? Are you whatever?
Now,
don't using that power to abusing your wife.
Last question to you, and we are done. What do you think authorities in South Sudan should do?
Okay, authority. Okay, let us put in this. There is the federal government and the state government. Ask me, what is state? The state that was balanced with incur, which is the Kwajuk area. Whether the Kwajuk area either have authority, but then we can put it to the federal government. Okay? The Kwajuk, that where violence was occurred, what Kwajuk government action taken? That is a good question right there. And the same thing, that's why I want to go a little bit more information. That the Kwajuk government silent, then you using your power, your minister to killing, that is the good questions. That very good question, okay? If not, even though in the country, when we are at home, when your uncle fighting with his wife, your dad will come and say, hey, you guys can stop. The same thing now is turning to government now. In the Kwajuk area, which is the capital city with Warab State, and the minister doing this kind of violence. What is the action they really take? I like a male question. It's good question.
Going on.
We need to know really what the kind of action you take.
The boy is about to get here. Yeah, I know.
Okay?
Yep.
I really like. Anyway, to make everything short, and I will get out. I was just coming to talk, but I will not suppose to talk. I will fulfill with our sister already. Only thing that we have to know, I don't care what language you use, what tribe are you, my message going to the whole, the ladies and the women. Brother, we don't reading the word calling. We're going to word calling. We don't have the counseling that we can take you guys and put you in the house of doing counseling. Number one, when you that your sister abusing you or make you mad, and you take that kind of action, it come back to you. In the same time, the country look bad to you. Put in your mind with that one over there. Put in your mind, there are two things. Your country, you will be calling what? Be calling this country is a country for violence. Is number one. You respect the country identity will come in. We are the people can pick that country to many ways. To many ways other people can look us. The only thing we're pushing now, we don't have the counseling. We don't have the, the mental problems. They can see, are you okay or not? We don't reach that kind of level. But can we controlling our hunger? In the state of holding this girl, young girls, cannot listen to you. Because we are married young girls. Young girl is not even close to our age. Cannot even listen to you because he's still running around doing things. It doesn't mean you're going to cheat on you. But you not stop secure, be secure. Be secure.
Okay, thank you, my brother. Thank you. I want to give chance to others.
Thank you, but anyway, brother. I'm really appreciate and I really, then you guys can put in a little thing like that until the country will get to the right direction. I really appreciate it. You guys cannot stop. That is calling awareness, sending the signal to our countries. That is good. And thank you.
I really appreciate it, Manud Agil, for coming in and adding your perspective. Now, Julius Amico, I think. So welcome to Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. I know you were suffering, having a hard time coming in, but now you made it. What happened then? That's interesting. So I want to give you a chance to speak, but all of a sudden you drop out. I don't know what's going on. Well, I think it's time. I wanted to leave too. Let me bring in Billy Luke. You want to add his perspective, and then we move on from here. I think Gigi has been here for a long time. Billy Luke, let's give an opportunity to Gigi, and then I will go for you. And I think I should call. I wanted to call a day too because I have to take care of my little one. So
thank you.
Mr. Gigi, if you hear us, because we are not seeing your video, we are seeing just the features. You can go ahead and add your perspective, please. Gigi Lam. We are not hearing anything. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and drop him. So go ahead, Billy Luke. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Well, very well.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Jonkor Mayol. This is a very wonderful topic. First of all, without wasting time, I would like to extend my personal sympathy toward our sister, Aluel Messi, by her nicknames. I don't know the full real name.
Her name is Aluel
Garang. Sorry?
Aluel Garang.
Oh, Aluel Garang, okay. I daman tini na wujba num ko ko ndai wacha ka mo ban ko we monjang ku ma junubin kon ko ke gwer. I just want to take this personal opportunity to extend my personal sympathy, my thought and prayers with our sister Aluel Garang for what she went through in this alleged domestic violence. This is very critical, and this is actually a very controversial development to all of us as South Sudanese, and we should all come out together and condemn it collectively as a citizen of South Sudan. Being a moral and ethical citizen, we have to look at things from the perspective of the law. Given my background in criminal justice, I understand this very well. So I'm aware of a lot of crime that are committed within our society. And so all of us should be concerned as South Sudanese. When this thing happen, we should consider this as a public citizenry obligation or responsibility to come forward and condemn it, especially when it is something that involves the slavery or a public servant. So in this case, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why we come out as South Sudanese and condemn this controversial incident is because Honorable Mayen Majongdit is a government official in this case. So given the fact that he's actually a public figure, we deserve the right as a citizen to come forward and condemn him as a government official. Like what he did last year in Awil, during the time when there was a game going on in Awil town, Aluel Messi, Aluel Garang was actually playing for her hometown team. So something to do with her family, when her husband showed up in that game, he disrupted the game by shooting the gun into the head to scare the crowd away due to what he alleged as a security scare. So that was unprofessional too. For a public servant to behave like that in public is totally unacceptable, and that itself was a crime. It was a crime for a public figure to do that. So I believe the government of Northern Bargadal, under the governorship of that particular state, should have actually launched a criminal investigation into that alleged shooting in the first place. So I'm just trying to give you a perspective of a crime being committed by that time. But Honorable Mayen Majongdit was actually being immune from being prosecuted for that particular crime because he scared the crowd away, let alone the fact that morally that was a disrespect to his in-law, the Greater Madinga will as a whole, because that girl played for a home team, and that is something Honorable Mayen Majok should have actually respected. So that was the first violation I have ever seen, and all of us came out and condemned him for that. So I just want to give you a little bit the background of what Honorable Mayen Majongdit have done was not acceptable as a public figure, we do condemn him. So that has nothing to do with treating Mayen Majongdit as something to do with the family affairs, you know. So I condemn that. The same thing applies when last year we fought about the right of our sister, Emmanuel. It was the same thing because her husband was actually a public celebrity. And that's why we came forward and we fought for her right, because of alleged abuse against her. So the same thing applies to our sister, Aluel Messi. What happened to her is totally unacceptable. What Honorable Mayendit have done, as seen on the social media, with the graphic pictures of our sister being battered, is totally unacceptable. So we have to step forward as a citizen of South Sudan and condemn this, because Mayen Majongdit have not only committed a federal crime, given the fact that he's actually a minister in the national government of South Sudan. He's actually the Minister of Humanitarian. So in that case, ladies and gentlemen, we consider a crime being committed by Honorable Mayen Majongdit because he have actually involved in a domestic violence. And domestic violence must be avoided by any public official. So in this case, ladies and gentlemen, Mayen Majongdit should be investigated and should be prosecuted for the national crime he have committed as a Minister of Humanitarian Affairs of South Sudan. So in that case, we consider that when you are a public servant, you should be held accountable for any crime or any controversial incident that you commit in public. And that is why we deserve to come forward as a citizen of South Sudan to have a say about any public figure. But if Mayen Majongdit was a private citizen, I don't think any one of us here will be coming to social media and talk about him, because we will be treating those individuals as a private citizen. But given the fact that Mayen Majongdit is a public servant, that is why he's being put forward and being condemned in the public media. If South Sudan was actually a nation that is actually governed by the law or by the rule of law and order, I believe Mayen Majongdit should be pressured by the national government to resign from his ministerial force. In addition to that, I would also like to challenge the government of Warabi State in particular. Honorable General Alewa Yen should do something. The criminal judiciary system of the Warab government should actually launch an investigation, because the state crime is actually being committed. When a public servant like that committed a crime within your legal jurisdiction, it is upon that governor to actually summon that public figure.
If you do understand that, look.
Yes. So I believe Honorable Alewa Yen should be challenged. And I'm so glad that my sister Wilma Achol and brother Manuda Agil, who just spoke earlier, both of them are from Warabi State. And I'm so glad they came forward and they actually fought that kind of question. You know, General Honorable Alewa Yen should be challenged. What is he doing regarding the rule of law being observed in that state? So that's why I also challenge the government of Northern Madinga should have done something when Honorable Mayen Majongdit came there and dispersed the crowd in shooting into the hair by his bodyguard. That was totally unacceptable. Let alone the fact that he was actually being disrespectful to his in-law. So now the same crime is being repeated. We need to see the government of Warabi State launch a criminal investigation into Honorable Mayen Majongdit and held him accountable for the domestic violence he had committed against his wife. The same thing applies to the national government. They should actually investigate him and prosecute him for the crime he had committed, because domestic violence is a crime and it should not be tolerated when a public figure like that committed those crimes. So these are the main reason why Honorable Mayen Majongdit deserve to be called out, be condemned. And I have just learned also he's actually being terminated from his political party. I have the paper with me, and I have seen that, I have read it in other social media, that his political party have actually disowned him. They have actually communicated him for all these misconduct. So these are the misconduct and abuse of power. So these are the gross misconduct that must not be tolerated whenever a public figure committed those kind of crimes. So I believe these are the stuff that I need to put forward. Honorable Mayen Majongdit deserve to be condemned, deserve to be prosecuted for the crime he have committed, and he need to be removed from his respective position he's holding. Like his political party have removed him from being a member of the party because of this gross misconduct. So this has nothing to do with family affairs, ladies and gentlemen, because I see some people do confuse, something to do with family affairs and the public. When you are a public, Jonkor, assume that you are holding a higher position in the government and you committed something that is a mistake, you will be called to it. People will come and challenge you, because this is something that is required of you. But if you are a private citizen, nobody will talk about you.
Correct.
This is obvious. So I want to advise my fellow South Sudanese out there that condemn us from the moral or cultural perspective that we are no longer in the outdated society whereby this kind of attitude is actually being entertained. Okay. We are in a contemporary society where the ideas of civilization are actually being entertained. And our generation of today, Jonkor, and ladies and gentlemen who are watching, we are a different generation. Even if the very same generation in South Sudan, they are filled to our ideas. They have the same idea that we have. So our values are changing. So let us get rid of these primitive conservative values that actually oppress the women. We cannot, because we believe in liberty, we believe in humanity, we believe in freedom of choice, we believe in gender equality. That's who we are, because we are a contemporary society and we subscribe to the ideas of civilized society. So that's who we are. And so let's make it very clear that this issue has nothing to do with South Sudan versus a Western nation ideas. Even with the generation that are in South Sudan as we speak, Jonkor, I believe they are also civilized because they are educated. Only primitive people that continue to entertain this kind of stigmatization again is the people that live in the Western world. So I think I made my position very clear. This is what I came forward. And regardless of our respective tribal affiliation or regional or political affiliation, this issue here united all of us, and there's nothing politically attached to it. Let's be honest, a crime is committed by a public figure. But if these individuals are actually private citizens, we shouldn't be talking about them. So don't consider this as a private family affair. No, he's a public figure. Just like we condemned last year, brother, what's his name? The Fanan. Yeah. Yeah, Dinganyai. So when we talk about Dinganyai, because I told him, even I talked to him personally, that you are a celebrity. And when you are a celebrity, people can talk about you. So thank you very much, Brother Junko, for the wonderful opportunity. And I want to appreciate my sisters for coming forward and spearhead this kind of advocacy. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
I really appreciate it. With that, I think I would like to conclude. Thank you for all South Sudanese who came in today and participated. This is a national case. This is a case that deserves attention. And that's why if we are a concerned citizen of South Sudan, we should not be concerned just for some. We are not selective, in our concern. We are concerned for everything. Children, men, women, these are the matter of concern. Mayen Majongdit deserve to be persecuted. He need to be fired. He need to be taken to the court so he can learn this lesson. This is how things are going to fix. And those who are committed crime, this is the only way that, they are going to back up from what they do. How many women every day they have been killed? How many people have been killed, in dark? But this case came to the light. That's why we are talking about it. That's why we are talking about it. And it committed by a public figure, as you hear from sisters and brothers who have spoken tonight on this very humble forum. So I really, really appreciate you for coming in. Keep raising your voice. Aluel Messi deserves a better life, and she's a human being, and she's a citizen. and we don't condone such behaviors in our community. They must stop. They must stop. When we say that, when you married, it doesn't mean that you own person. Yes, it's appreciation, like my brother said. When you pay a dowry, you are appreciating, but you cannot just, act arrogantly like you are owning a person. So with that, I would like to conclude, and thank you so much for being part of this. I know the family is working hard, and we want them to work hard. We want them to work hard and continue, because at the end of the day, Aluel Messi is your daughter, and Aluel case need to be taken to the court and need to be divorced immediately from this disgraced man who does not believe in values, who have no moral at all. So thank you for being part of Concerned Citizen of South Sudan, and thank you for watching. Have a good night. Thank you.